Chapter 21 Delicious. Lu Qing blinked, searching his memory for a while. He gradually began to recall the memories associated with the big trade fair. Simply put, the big trade fair was actually an exchange event spontaneously formed by several of the large villages nearby. After all, the town was distant, and entry required a fee, something many villagers and mountain people were unwilling to spend unless it was necessary. Therefore, no one knows from when or who organized it, but slowly, there was a big trade fair nearby, and villagers from around would head to the fair every 5 days to buy and sell goods. The original host once went to the fair with his parents when he was young, but ever since little Yen was born, he had taken on the task of caring for his sister and had never been to the big fair again. His memory of the big trade fair had also gradually become vague. It wasn't until Brother De mentioned it that Lu Qing began to recall some impressions. Brother De said, "At the big trade fair, people from all the villages and even the mountain people occasionally come out to buy things. Your fish are so big. If you take them to sell there, as long as they're not too expensive, someone will definitely want them." In Brother De's view, since Lu Qing had more fish than he could eat, keeping them was just a waste. It would be better to take them to the fair to sell for cheap and at least make some money in exchange. Lu Qing thought for a moment, then nodded. "Then I'll see. If I catch big fish again next time, I'll take them to the fair to see if I can sell them." "You can definitely sell them," Brother Darren said happily. "I've seen people selling fish at the fair, but their fish were nowhere near as big as the ones you caught today." Lu Qing smiled. "Catching big fish isn't something that happens every time. It doesn't matter if you can catch them or not. If you want to go to the big fair, remember to let me know. There are some rules to pay attention to when you go to the fair," Brother De reminded him. "Okay. If I decide to go to the fair, I'll definitely tell you, Brother De. Just remember that, and I'll be on my way now." After Brother De left, Lu Qing fell into deep thought. He had overlooked this information about the big fair. Perhaps he could start from there if he wanted to find out information about the town. "Brother, when can we eat the fish? Little Yen is hungry," Little Yen called out beside him, just as Lu Qing was pondering how to gather information at the big fair. "Oh, very soon. Wait for your brother to sort out the fish, and I'll cook it for you." Lu Qing snapped back to reality and quickly resumed his tasks. He chopped the remaining fish into several pieces, planning to deliver them to Old Master Zhang later. During the time he was unconscious, it was Old Master Zhang who had taken care of little Yen, and he could not forget that kindness. After sorting the fish, Lu Qing picked out the best piece of fish. He removed all the bones cleanly, slicing the fish meat into thin pieces. Then he put a pot on to boil water and started cooking porridge. As for the remaining fish, he threaded them onto bamboo splints, hanging them under the eaves to dry, preparing to make dried fish. Looking at the long string of fish hanging on the bamboo pole, Lu Qing silently resolved to get an iron pot as soon as possible. Right, and some seasonings. Otherwise, his culinary skills would have no room to shine. It pained him to see such good ingredients going to waste. By the time Lu Qing had finished these tasks, the porridge in the clay pot was also boiling. First, he added some salt, stirred it a few times to ensure the salt dissolved. Then he carefully placed the fish slices into the porridge, watching them turn white before immediately turning off the heat. Finally, he added a small spoonful of lard to the porridge, and it was done to perfection. Lu Qing first scooped a bowl of fish porridge for little Yen, fanned it to cool it down a bit, then set it in front of her. "Little Yen, wait a bit longer, it's still very hot." Little Yen understands. Although the little one was drooling with anticipation, she obediently agreed. Her eyes, however, remained fixed on the fish porridge. Seeing this, Lu Qing smiled and then ladled himself a bowl of porridge as well. Relying on his tough skin, he scooped a spoonful of porridge with fish slices, blew on it a few times and put it into his mouth. As soon as the fish entered his mouth, he felt a burst of umami rushing to his taste buds, and his face lit up with surprise. This fish, tender and fragrant, also had a faint aroma of fat which was unexpectedly delicious. Indeed, high-end ingredients often only needed the simplest cooking methods. He had only added a little salt oil to this fish porridge, not even green onions, and it was already this tasty, deserving of being a premium fish that could emit a rich white light. A single spoonful of porridge immediately filled Lu Qing with a sense of complete satisfaction. "Brother, can little Yen eat now?" Seeing her brother enjoying his food so much, little Yen couldn't help but gaze at him with longing eyes. Lu Qing reached out to touch her bowl, felt it was not too hot, and nodded. "You can eat now, but still be careful not to burn your tongue." Little Yen will be careful." Upon hearing she could eat, the little one immediately perked up with joy. She spooned some porridge and carefully followed Lu Qing's earlier actions, cautiously blowing on it. Once it felt cool enough, she put the porridge in her mouth. Then, after eating a spoonful of porridge, her eyes suddenly widened. Brother, the big fish's porridge is so tasty, even tastier than this morning's shrimp porridge." The little one danced around excitedly, clearly overjoyed. "That's because you didn't see how hard your brother worked to catch this big fish. Of course, it's delicious," Lu Qing said with a proud expression. "Brother is the best." The little one showered him with praise, not skimping on the compliments. "If it's tasty, then eat more. Grandpa Chun said that if you want beautiful hair, you need to eat well. Little Yen will try hard to eat. Little Yen wants to grow beautiful hair." The little one nodded vigorously, serious and earnest. Seeing this, Lu Qing felt a slight pang in his heart. The day before yesterday, when the little one was playing outside, she was mocked by other village kids for having ugly hair. When she came back, she asked him a bit grievously how she could grow beautiful hair. Lu Qing, of course, knew that little Yan's hair was this way largely because of malnutrition. He told the little one to obediently eat well and that after nourishing her body, her hair would soon become beautiful. So now, every time little Yen ate anything, she took it very seriously, not willing to waste a single bit. Although they never really had the luxury to waste anything. After enjoying their fish porridge, both siblings sat contentedly slumped in their chairs. Even Lu Qing had not anticipated that the green armored fish's meat would be so tender and fresh. It was a delightful surprise. He couldn't help but think, if the green armored fish was this tasty, what would the red moon carp, hailed as an extremely fresh delicacy by those with superpowers, taste like? Unfortunately, the red moon carp was a gift he had prepared for old Dr. Chun and could not be eaten. After resting for a while, Lu Qing stood up and headed to the kitchen. He still had one more task to complete. The green armored fish's fish stone still needed to be taken care of. Chapter 22, Fish Stone Pendant. The green armored fish's fish stone had not been retrieved by Lu Qing in front of Brother Dayan. Instead, it had remained inside the body of the green armored fish. It wasn't that he was stingy and unwilling to show it to others, but rather it was difficult for him to explain what it was. Now that no one was disturbing him, it was the perfect opportunity to take the fish stone. He went to the kitchen, where the large fish head of the green armored fish was placed in a wooden basin. Lu Qing broke open the fish head and found the fish stone at the throat. However, when he saw the appearance of the fish stone, Lu Qing was very surprised. In his previous life, Lu Qing had caught a large green fish weighing over 40 pounds, and also obtained a very nice fish stone. But when he had retrieved that fish stone, it had been slightly gelatinous. After it was taken out, it needed cleaning, air drying, and other treatments before he finally got a good-looking fish stone. Now, he touched the fish stone from the throat of the green armored fish and found that it wasn't soft at all. It had already hardened. Lu Qing found a small wooden spoon and carefully dug out the fish stone. After cleaning it with water and drying it off, upon closer examination, he was even more amazed. The fish stone, 2 centimeters in size and half a centimeter thick, was shaped like a scallop. Its texture was both stony and jade-like, smooth and warm to the touch, feeling very nice in hand. Its quality was much better than the one he had carefully maintained in his previous life. Gently playing with the jade-like fish stone in his hand, Lu Qing felt a sense of calm in his heart and spirit. He knew this was not an illusion, because in his vision, the fish stone in his hand was radiating a dense white light. Green Armor Fish Stone. A complete fish stone nurtured by an adult green armored fish, already jadeized. Legend has it that jadeized level green armor fish stones, when carried close to the body, have the effect of soothing the soul and stabilizing the mind. After playing with it for a while, Lu Qing found that the quality of this fish stone was practically perfect. It required no additional polishing and could be worn directly. He found some tools and carefully drilled a hole in the thinner end of the fish stone. Fortunately, although the green armor fish stone had jadeized, it wasn't as hard as other jade. He didn't spend much effort and managed to make a perfect hole. After drilling the hole, he took out the remaining hemp string and twisted it into a sturdy hemp rope, threading it through the fish stone. After being busy with these tasks, he had created a simple fish stone pendant. After admiring his own work for a while, Lu Qing called Little Yen, who was playing in the yard, inside. "Brother, what do you need Little Yen for?" The little one scampered into the house. "Brother made something nice, and I want to give it to you." Lu Qing held the pendant in his hand. "What is it?" Little Yan's eyes lit up. "It's this." Lu Qing pinched the hemp rope, and letting go slightly, the fish stone dangled in midair, swaying. "Wow! What is that? It's so pretty." The little one's eyes instantly widened as she stared at the pendant. "This is a pendant. I made it from the fish stone found in the big fish's body. From now on, wear it close to you, and it will keep you from kicking your covers off at night." Lu Qing loosened the hemp rope and hung the pendant around Little Yan's neck, then tied the rope tight. He tied the loop small enough that the little one couldn't take the pendant off over her head, preventing her from carelessly losing it. "Thank you, brother. Little Yen really loves this gift." The little one bowed her head to play with the pendant on her neck, utterly delighted. It was her first piece of jewelry that belonged solely to her, and it was such a beautiful stone at that. Young children generally can't resist beautiful, attractive stones. The more Little Yen looked at the pendant on her neck, the more she loved it. "If you like it, just keep it safe and don't lose it. Otherwise, brother can't fish another big fish for you to eat." Lu Qing warned Little Yen as she clung to the pendant affectionately. "I know, I will protect it well," Little Yen said with a serious face. Seeing that the little one took his words to heart, Lu Qing left her to continue playing. Then he went back to the kitchen to prepare the big fish head. For dinner, the siblings had a feast of fish head. Lu Qing cooked half of the big fish head by grilling and the other half by boiling into a soup. The two of them ate to their heart's content. "Brother, the big fish is really delicious," Little Yen said as she lay in her own small bed, touching her still somewhat full belly, before going to sleep for the night. "As long as Little Yen is good, brother will make you more delicious food in the future." Lu Qing responded as he tugged at the corner of her blanket. Little Yen used to sleep in the same room as their parents, but after they were gone, she often cried at night. The original owner then moved her small bed into his own room, and Little Yen was able to sleep more peacefully. "Aha! Little Yen will be very good." The little one touched the pendant around her neck and nodded earnestly. "Then go to sleep early, we need to go to Grandpa Chen's place tomorrow." "Aha! Little Yen misses Grandpa Chen too," she said, slowly feeling her eyelids grow heavier, and soon she was sound asleep. Lu Qing affectionately covered her with a thin quilt. The little one was quite tired today. She had gone fishing with him and had helped carry the fishing rod. After coming back, she had played in the yard for most of the day. It was already quite good that she only started to feel sleepy now. After making sure the little one was asleep, Lu Qing then lay down on his own bed. Listening to Little Yan's faint breathing, Lu Qing couldn't fall asleep immediately. He was thinking about tomorrow. Tomorrow was his day to get acupuncture at old Dr. Chen's. According to the elder doctor's previous promise, starting tomorrow, each acupuncture session would be followed by an hour during which he could learn how to identify medicinal herbs with the elder doctor. Identifying herbs was secondary. With superpower assistance, Lu Qing wasn't worried about his ability to learn. What he needed to think about was how to use this opportunity to gain Elder Chen's favor and approval. There was also what Brother Duan had mentioned today about the bazaar. He needed to think carefully about that too. After these past few days of consumption, They had eaten quite a bit of the grain they borrowed from home. More importantly, there wasn't much salt and oil left. In a few days, they would run out. So he had to find a way to earn money quickly. Now wasn't the farming season, so he couldn't count on crop yield for the time being. Moreover, he didn't even have the money to buy seeds. He could only look elsewhere for opportunities. The bazaar could be a good option. It was just unclear what exactly this bazaar was like. Considering the rules Brother Dan stressed at noon, it seemed they had some special regulations to follow. Various thoughts swirled in Lu Qing's mind, and as he thought, his eyelids grew heavier. Eventually, he couldn't resist sleep any longer. The room was quiet as the siblings both slept deeply. Outside, the night wind was cool, and the sky was full of stars. Suddenly, a black figure gracefully jumped into the yard and glanced towards the fish meat hanging under the eaves. Chapter 23, Meeting Old Dr. Chen Again. That night, Lu Qing slept especially soundly, not even dreaming. Little Yen didn't wake up in the middle of the night as usual, calling for his comfort. Both siblings had a good rest. In fact, Lu Qing slept so deeply that in the morning, it was little Yen who had to call him to get up. Rubbing his sleepy eyes while dressing little Yen, he helped her brush her teeth and wash her face, casually tying her hair into two little tufts before he began his own ablutions. Brushing his teeth absent-mindedly with a willow twig brush, Lu Qing's gaze lacked focus, casually drifting around the room. After brushing for a while, he suddenly sensed something amiss and his gaze began to sharpen. He stepped forward and looked at the two bamboo rings on the pole, now empty, and his eyes gradually widened. What scoundrel had stolen his two large pieces of fish meat? Someone from the village? That was the first thought that crossed Lu Qing's mind, but he quickly dismissed it. Although the villagers weren't wealthy, none were poor to the point of needing to steal two pieces of fish meat. He had offered to treat everyone to fish just yesterday, and everyone had declined. Moreover, if someone really wanted to steal, wouldn't they have taken the whole pot, rather than just two pieces? More importantly, he noticed there were still some bits of fish meat left on the two bamboo rings. Clearly, the two pieces of fish meat had been forcefully yanked away. What kind of thief would make such a ruckus while stealing, almost as if they wanted to alert others? Unfortunately, he had slept so soundly the night before that he hadn't noticed any activity outside. Lu Qing searched the area carefully and eventually found several mud prints on the wall, resembling plum blossoms. Each print had several tiny holes in it. Similar prints were also found on the ground. He stared quietly at these mud prints. Before long, he saw a faint white light emanating from them. White light. Lu Qing was slightly startled. He quickly looked at the two words that appeared. Mud footprints. Judging by their shape, they seemed to belong to a mysterious little beast. Looking at the small holes on the footprints, this is a creature with sharp claws. Reading the descriptions, a scene instantly formed in Lu Qing's mind. A mysterious and nimble unknown little beast, pushing off with its feet against the wall, lunging at the fish meat on the pole and violently tearing it down. What could it be? A cat? On that note, are there cats in this world? Lu Qing pondered the question. He certainly hadn't seen any cats in the village or heard of anyone keeping one. Nevertheless, now that he had determined it was not a human thief, that was the end of it. Lu Qing breathed a sigh of relief. If a villager had come to steal, it wouldn't have been good news for him. Fortunately, it was just a wild animal, and judging by its footprints, it wasn't large. Behind the village where he lived, not far from the mountains, it was only natural for wild animals to occasionally venture down. However, it seemed he would have to be more cautious and make sure to secure the doors and windows before sleeping. Otherwise, if some wild animal slipped in at night and hurt little Yen, that would be terrible. Having figured out what had happened, Lu Qing didn't care much about it anymore. After all, he couldn't exactly argue with a wild animal. He just had to make sure to secure things after nightfall. Thinking of this, Lu Qing suddenly remembered something. His eyes widened, and he hurried to the kitchen. After a while, he came out with a relieved face. Thankfully, he had kept the red moon carp in a wooden basin and had placed it in the kitchen last night. In order to prevent the fish from jumping out, He had covered the wooden basin tightly with a wooden board and stones. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to ensure that it wouldn't have been snatched away by that wild animal. After this incident, Lu Qing had completely woken up. He didn't tell little Yen about this matter but simply went to make breakfast. After the siblings had eaten, they took the red moon carp in a bucket and walked towards the slope where old Dr. Chen lived. This time, when going to old Dr. Chen's place, Lu Qing deliberately delayed a bit before heading over. Because he was afraid if he went too early and ran into the elder doctor practicing his boxing, he would not be able to resist using his superpower to mimic the elder's cultivation technique. The elder doctor was so kind to them, siblings, he couldn't do such ungrateful things. So he simply eliminated this possibility and also avoided testing his own moral bottom line. Lu Qing's strategy proved to be very effective. When he and little Yen arrived at the half-mountain small courtyard, they saw old Dr. Chen slowly finishing his form, evidently just having finished his boxing practice. "Grandpa Chen, we've come to see you." Little Yen ran up happily upon seeing the elder doctor. "Oh, little Yen is here." Old Dr. Chen picked her up in a hug upon seeing her run over, his old face blooming like a chrysanthemum. "Good morning, Grandpa Chen." Lu Qing also came forward to greet him. "You're here. Why are you later than last time?" asked old Dr. Chen. "Because my brother overslept." Little Yen giggled. This morning, it was little Yen who had to wake him up. Lu Qing's face turned slightly red. "I fished by the river all morning yesterday, and I was a bit tired, so I slept more deeply." "Sleeping more is good." Old Dr. Chen nodded. "You're at the age where you're growing, so ample rest is necessary." The elder doctor looked at Lu Qing and little Yan's complexions, which had significantly improved compared to a few days ago. Knowing that they had been doing well these past few days, he felt quite satisfied in his heart. "Grandpa Chen, yesterday when my brother and I went fishing, he caught a really big fish." At that moment, little Yen began to brag to the elder doctor. "Oh, how big?" Old Dr. Chen asked with a smile. "So big. As big as little Yen." The little girl gestured with all her might. "That big?" Old Dr. Chen became a bit surprised. He had thought that the big fish little Yen talked about would at most be 2 or 3 pounds, but if it truly was as she mentioned, it would far exceed that. Yeah, not only is that big fish tasty, but it also has very beautiful stones on its body. My brother made it into a pendant and gave it to little Yen." "Grandpa Chen, look, this is it. Sent it pretty." Little Yen pulled out the fish stone pendant from her neck and showed it to old Dr. Chen. "Is this a green armored fish stone?" Old Dr. Chen became even more surprised after getting a clear look at the pendant around little Yan's neck. Hearing him, Lu Qing's heart stirred, and he feigned surprise as well. "Master Chen, you recognize the stone?" "How so? Do you not know?" Old Dr. Chen inquired. "No, I don't." Lu Qing shook his head. "I found this stone in the fish's throat when I was killing it. It looked nice, so I made it into a pendant for little Yen to wear." "Then you are quite lucky. This fish stone is indeed a rarity, and you just happened to come across it." Old Dr. Chen picked up the pendant and examined it for a moment. "The big fish you caught must be a green armored fish, and what's more, an old fish that has lived for quite some years. Otherwise, it wouldn't have bred such a high-quality fish stone. Once this green armor fish stone undergoes jadization, it will have a rather magical function. It can soothe the heart and spirit. Moreover, it's also a rare medicinal ingredient. Its powdered form mixed with water and consumed can calm a frightened child. By the way, where did you catch this green armored fish?" Chapter 24. The Freshest Substances, 100 Herbs Scripture. "Just beyond the village in the river. Yesterday little Yen and I went fishing and happened to catch it," Lu Qing answered. "Elder Chen, there's actually a green armored fish of such an age in that little river?" Old Dr. Chen was somewhat surprised. The river outside the village wasn't large, yet a green armored fish had grown to this size was truly rare. However, he then recalled that the few villages nearby didn't seem to live off fishing. Perhaps that was why the green armored fish had managed to grow so big. "No wonder you said you felt you had a talent for fishing before, capable of nurturing such a fish stone." The size of that green armored fish couldn't have been small, yet you were able to catch it. Old Dr. Chun looked at Lu Qing's somewhat frail body and couldn't help but admire him. "This is all thanks to the line you gave me, Grandpa Chen," Lu Qing said humbly. "Grandpa Chen, that line is truly extraordinarily tough. Without it, I really wouldn't have been able to pull in this big fish. It's good that it was useful. That thing was pointless to keep around for me anyway." Old Dr. Chun waved his hand, not particularly concerned about it. On the contrary, he was quite interested in the bucket that Lu Qing had been carrying around. "What have you got in your bucket? Seems quite heavy." Because Lu Qing had put some branches and leaves into the bucket when he left, to keep the fish from getting too frightened, old Dr. Chan couldn't clearly see what was inside for the moment. "Inside it is something I wanted to give to Master Chun." Lu Qing started to remove the branches and leaves from the bucket. "Yesterday when little Yen and I went fishing, we caught 2 big fish. We ate the larger of the green armored fish, and the smaller one I thought to give to Master Chun to try." "Right, Master Chun. This fish is so pretty." "So pretty." Grandpa Zhang and the others didn't even recognize what kind of fish it was. Little Yen also chimed in. "Oh, such a thoughtful gesture. I'd like to see what kind of fish it is then." Old Dr. Chen's interest was piqued even more. "It's this fish." Lu Qing finished clearing the branches and leaves from the bucket, handing it over to the elder doctor. The elder doctor looked into the bucket, and upon seeing the flame-like fish, was first shocked, then somewhat moved. He blurted out, This is a red moon carp?" The elder doctor indeed recognized the fish. Ideas swirled in Lu Qing's mind, though his face showed confusion. "Grandpa Chun, you know what this fish is?" Elder Chun put down little Yen and leaned forward to play with the fish in the bucket, scrutinizing it carefully for a while. "Undoubtedly, this is a red moon carp." Elder Chen's look toward Lu Qing was filled with genuine astonishment. "You were even able to catch a strange fish like a red moon carp?" "Master Chun, what is a red moon carp?" Little Yen asked, puzzled. "This red moon carp, it's quite something." Seeing that both Lu Qing and little Yen were clueless, old Dr. Chun simply began to explain. "A red moon carp is a kind of strange fish, and in this world, any fish that can be called a strange fish has its own special attributes. The red moon carp is known for its exquisite taste. In legend, its flavor is unparalleled, and once eaten, it's unforgettable. Hence, some aficionados dubbed it one of the top 10 delicacies in the world." One of the top 10 delicacies in the world? This time it was Lu Qing's turn to be astonished. He had not expected the red moon carp to be so renowned. Truly worthy of being evaluated as an extremely fresh delicacy by those with superpower. "The big red fish is that impressive?" Little Yen also appeared stunned. "Then, Master Chan, have you eaten a big red fish?" "I, Grandpa Chen, once had the fortune to taste this red moon carp at a noble's banquet. The flavor." Old Dr. Chan didn't finish his sentence, but even little Yen could discern the reminiscent look on his face. "Then this red moon carp could not be more perfect as a gift for Master Chun," Lu Qing said. "I can't accept this gift." Chen snapped back to reality. "Do you have any idea how much money a red moon carp could fetch if sold in the city?" Lu Qing shook his head. 100 taels of silver. Old Dr. Chan held up a finger, and seeing the shock on Lu Qing's face, he continued, "A red moon carp of the highest quality could sell for at least 100 pattern taels of silver." "A fish worth 100 taels of silver?" Lu Qing gasped. He knew well the purchasing power of silver in this world. A single tael of silver could provide a modest family of 3 with enough to live on for a month. And to the best of his memory, even at its wealthiest, the Lu family did not possess 10 taels of silver in ready cash. Now one fish was worth 100 taels. It was truly more than he had ever expected. The key point was, this was only a strange fish with a hint of red light shining within the white. What then of a true red light level spirit fish? "This world is vast, Lu Qing." Old Dr. Chan sighed somewhat. "The daily expenses of those nobles are beyond common people's imagination. Do you know how much a noble might spend on a single banquet?" Lu Qing shook his head again. "At least 1,000 taels of silver, and if the event is to host distinguished guests, the cost becomes unfathomable. This red moon carp is a rare delicacy. Those nobles, not short on money, wouldn't balk at spending a mere 100 taels of silver for such a treat. Lu Qing's mouth was slightly agape. Half of his expression was feigned surprise, and the other half was indeed a bit astonished. True enough, in any world, the extravagance of the rich could be quite staggering. So, what do you think? Do you still want to give this red moon carp to this old man? Old Dr. Chen, observing the disbelief on Lu Qing's face, teased him. Chapter 25. Lu Qing came back to his senses, hesitated for a moment, then nodded resolutely. Give it away, of course. Compared to the life-saving grace of Grandpa Chen, what's 100 silver taels? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be standing here, let alone catching this red moon carp. Ah! Old Dr. Chen suddenly burst into hearty laughter. After laughing for a while, he stopped and said with gratification on his face, "It's enough for me to know you have this intention, young man, but I really can't accept this red moon carp. Such a precious fish is too much of a waste for me to eat." But Grandpa Chen, Lu Qing wanted to say more, but old Dr. Chen raised his hand, interrupting him. "All right, it's settled then. You leave the fish with me, and in a couple of days, I'll take it to town and sell it for silver, which you can take home for expenses." Lu Qing's mouth opened, but in the end, he did not insist, only saying, "That's fine, but Grandpa Chen, the money from selling the fish should first go to covering your previous medical fees." "Agreed." Old Dr. Chen nodded. Yet, he did not tell Lu Qing that the decoction he had previously prescribed alone had its precious ingredients worth no less than the red moon carp. That's because the elder doctor could see that Lu Qing was a very proud young man. If he knew the value of that decoction, he would probably refuse to take any money from the sale of the red moon carp. Old Dr. Chen looked at the red moon carp in the bucket again. Then he frowned. "It's a pity, though this red moon carp has fine quality. It's a bit too large and probably won't fetch 100 silver taels. Its value must be somewhat reduced." "Why is that, Grandpa Chen? Aren't bigger fish better?" Little Yen asked, not understanding. "Generally speaking, that's true, but the red moon carp is different," Old Dr. Chen explained. "The most valuable part of the red moon carp is its freshness, and it's usually when they reach around 2 pounds that they are the freshest and most tender. Anything heavier, even if it retains its freshness, the flesh is slightly tougher, and naturally, its value isn't as high." Lu Qing could understand this. It was like some seafood from his previous life where bigger isn't always pricier. Rather, when smaller, the price per unit was higher. "No matter the value, it's all down to Grandpa Chen's effort," said Lu Qing. Regardless of how valuable the red moon carp was, Lu Qing had no way to sell it. He believed that if he dared to appear in town with such a strange fish, even if he could sell it for money, he might not be able to leave the town. Maybe only a cultivation practitioner like old Dr. Chen would be entitled to involve oneself in such trade. By the way, the red moon carp has always been rare and its habits elusive, fond of solitude, and its tracks hardly seen. "How did you manage to catch it?" Old Dr. Chen asked curiously. "Maybe it was luck. After I caught that green armored fish yesterday, I fished for a while longer and just happened to catch this red moon carp," answered Lu Qing. His heart, however, stirred slightly. Elusive habits, so even the elder doctor didn't know that red moon carps like blood apricots? If that's the case, it really is fortune on your side. Old Dr. Chen sighed somewhat. Perhaps the heavens see the hardship you and your sister have been through and thus granted you these blessings. The elder doctor recalled Lu Qing's illness that had suddenly improved. Maybe the sudden recovery from Lu Qing's illness was also for this reason? After pondering for a while, old Dr. Chen placed the red moon carp in a water tank in the house to keep it for the time being, then went to give Lu Qing acupuncture. This time, after the acupuncture was finished, Lu Qing's sleep was shorter than the last. Upon awakening, he saw the elder doctor still chatting and laughing with little Yen in the yard, with yam cakes still on the stone table. "Woke up, have you? Come, have something to eat first." Old Dr. Chen saw Lu Qing come out and pushed the cakes on the table towards him. This time Lu Qing did not refuse, picking up a piece of cake and eating it slowly. Old Dr. Chan observed Lu Qing's complexion for a moment, then nodded. Not bad. It seems you have heeded my advice these past few days and have not skimped on food and drink. Grandpa Chen, my brother and I have been eating delicious food these days. Brother makes really tasty dishes. Little Yen boasted proudly at the side. I can tell, the elder doctor said, affectionately patting the little one's head. With his medical skill, how could he not notice that the complexions of the siblings had improved greatly compared to a few days ago? After Lu Qing ate a few pieces of cake, old Dr. Chan leisurely said, I mentioned before that after this round of acupuncture, I would allow you to learn about herbs for an hour. You remember, don't you? Lu Qing immediately sat up straight and said solemnly, Lu Qing certainly remembers. Do you still possess a desire to learn about medicinal herbs now? Of course. My interest in herbs has never waned. That's good. Old Dr. Chan smiled. I was worried that after you caught a red moon carp and were about to possess a large sum of money, you would no longer want to take the path of gathering herbs. Lu Qing wants to study medicinal herbs not just for a living, but out of pure curiosity about the various magical herbs and wanting to understand how they cure diseases and save people, Lu Qing earnestly stated. In that case, come with me. Old Dr. Chen rose and walked towards the house. Lu Qing quickly followed. Once inside the house, old Dr. Chen took out a book and handed it to Lu Qing. Here's 100 herb scripture that contains the names, illustrations, and growing habits of various medicinal herbs. Take it and study it well. Compare it to the herbs being sun-dried outside in the courtyard. And if there's anything you don't understand, come and ask me. Lu Qing was stunned as he held the book. Grandpa Chan, didn't you say I would help you sun-dry the herbs while learning from you? Now he was being handed a medical scripture directly. Lu Qing knew that in this world, books were very precious. Firstly, paper was expensive. Secondly, ink was expensive too. The original host's grandfather, when he had fled disaster in the past, had taken nothing else but a few books. Unfortunately, during the escape, the books were lost. As a result, the original host often heard Grandpa Lu deeply sighing that the loss of those ancient family books was his greatest failure to his ancestors. Later, due to the family's poverty, they couldn't afford paper and ink, which meant Grandpa Lu had never managed to revise those ancient family books. Even the original host had only recognized a few characters and was very shallow in writing. What's wrong, aren't you happy? Elder Dr. Chen asked. Of course I'm happy, Lu Qing hastily replied. He was well aware of the preciousness of knowledge in this world. That's fine then. You can start learning now. Seeing that the elder doctor had said so, Lu Qing could only take the book and return to the courtyard. After instructing little Yen with a few words, he walked to a quiet spot and opened the book. However, after casually browsing through a few pages, Lu Qing couldn't help but frown, because in the 100 Herbs scripture, many of the names of the medicinal herbs were very strange, and the characters were obscure. The original owner of the body didn't know many characters to begin with. Though he had the memories of his past life, the characters of the two worlds were different. Some characters even he didn't recognize. This made reading the 100 Herbs scripture quite difficult. At this rate, he didn't know when he'd be able to master the knowledge within. Lu Qing knew himself well. He was not an extremely intelligent person. Nor did he have the ability to read 10 lines at a glance and understand everything immediately. In his previous life, he was just an average person with a normal IQ, who, despite studying hard, only just managed to get into an ordinary university. So, to learn the 100 Herbs scripture sooner, he estimated he'd have to apply the same effort he had for the college entrance examination. After giving himself a pep talk, Lu Qing continued to read. Then, as he read on, the scripture in front of him suddenly emitted a hazy white glow. 100 Herbs Scripture. A book that contains knowledge of many herbs. Mastering this book might give you a rough understanding of the herbs in the world. Would you like to download? The first 2 notifications were fine, but when the third appeared, Lu Qing was completely stunned. Chapter 26, Memory and First Aid. Do you want to download? When Lu Qing saw this message, he was stunned. He then smiled. His superpower could really surprise people at unexpected times. He had been worrying about how to digest the 100 Herbs scripture. But he didn't expect a pillow to come his way so quickly. Without hesitation, Lu Qing chose to download. Downloading. Current progress. 1%. Lu Qing waited quietly, but after a while, he did not see the progress bar move. He was taken aback, thought for a moment, then picked up the 100 Herbs scripture, and began to slowly flip through it from the beginning. Sure enough, as he flipped through the book, the download progress bar also began to move. 1%, 2%, 3%, 98%, 99%, 100%. 100 Herbs scripture, download complete. Do you want to start learning? By the time Lu Qing had flipped through the entire 100 Herbs scripture, his superpower indicated that the download was complete. At the same time, a new message popped up. Lu Qing immediately chose to learn. The next moment, a flood of information surged through his mind, like an enlightening baptism, swiftly committing the contents of 100 Herbs scripture to memory. From the outside, Lu Qing simply appeared to be zoning out with a book, unaware of the changes happening in his mind. This path of herbal medicine is indeed vast and profound. After some time, Lu Qing came back to his senses, his face showing wonder. At this point, he had memorized the entire 100 Herbs scripture, and he had gained a basic understanding of its contents. He could now recite the names and properties of the various herbs detailed in the book by heart. Of course, this understanding was still theoretical. Next, he would need to compare what he learned with actual herbs to truly master the 100 Herbs scripture. However, this round of memorization alone had made Lu Qing realize the profoundness of the path of herbal medicine. The 100 Herbs scripture recorded hundreds of herbs, which is but a fraction of the herbs in the world. The combination of these herbs could create various formulas to heal and treat illnesses, truly miraculous. With the marvels of herbal medicine revealed, Lu Qing's interest intensified. Although he had memorized the whole book, he continued to flip through the 100 Herbs scripture, seeking to gain new insights from reviewing what he knew. Old Dr. Chun had been inside the house all this time, waiting for Lu Qing to seek his guidance. After waiting for a long time and still not seeing Lu Qing come in, he decided to go out into the courtyard to see what was happening. He then saw Lu Qing engrossed in the 100 Herbs scripture. Little Yen was, on the other hand, was catching butterflies in another corner, not bothering her brother. The elder doctor felt a secret relief upon seeing this. It seemed that Lu Qing's interest in herbal medicine wasn't just talk. Otherwise, how could he be so engrossed in a dry book like the 100 Herbs scripture? However, the 100 Herbs scripture is not so easy to understand. Just as Elder Chun was about to ask Lu Qing if there was anything he didn't understand, suddenly, several anxious shouts came from outside the courtyard. Elder Dr. Chun? Are you at home? Elder Dr. Chun? I'm here. Elder Chun heard the panic in the outside voice and hurried out to meet them. Lu Qing was also startled and stood up with his book in hand. Immediately afterward, he saw several villagers carrying an unconscious man in, as Elder Dr. Chun directed them to place the person in the center of the courtyard. Lu Qing recognized the unconscious man at a glance, as he too was a villager, someone he should address as Uncle Zhao. At that moment, Uncle Zhao was completely drenched, his face a ghastly shade of blue, his abdomen swollen, already deep in a coma. Come on, you all back off, let me take a look. After having the man laid down, Elder Dr. Chun waved to clear the villagers away. No one dared to defy Elder Dr. Chen's words, so they immediately stood far away. One of them happened to retreat in front of Lu Qing. Lu Qing gently tapped his shoulder. Brother Dun. The villager jumped with fright, turned his head, saw it was Lu Qing, and was immediately surprised. Lu Qing, what are you doing here? Never mind that for now, Lu Qing said softly. What happened to Uncle Zhao? He fell into the water. If we hadn't been nearby, he probably would have been washed away by the river, Dun replied. How did he end up in the water? Lu Qing was astonished. Don't you all usually fish together? Today he didn't join us. Instead, he went to another place to fish alone. Where? D'Anne's expression became somewhat uneasy. He glanced around and whispered, "It should be the same place where you caught the big fish yesterday." Lu Qing fell silent for a moment before saying, "But that shouldn't have led to falling in the water. I fixed that spot to be quite even." "I don't know about that. We only heard his cries for help, and by the time we got there, he was already in the river, swept far away, nearly sinking." As D'Anne recounted the events, he suddenly seemed to remember something, adding, "Right when we rescued old Zhao, he was still tightly clutching his fishing rod, though the line had long since broken." Lu Qing fell silent again, an assumption suddenly forming in his heart. However, he still asked, "Does Uncle Zhao not know how to swim?" "No, he doesn't. If he could swim, how could he have drowned? The current wasn't even strong where he fell in." Lu Qing was speechless. Failing to swim, yet going alone to fish by the river, even daring to wade into the water to grab the rod. Uncle Zhao was far too careless. With many years of fishing experience, Lu Qing had pretty much guessed the reason for Uncle Zhao's fall into the water. But whether that was indeed the case would have to wait until he regained consciousness to know for sure. Lu Qing looked towards the center of the courtyard. By this time, old Dr. Chan had also learned from other villagers that old Zhao's coma was caused by falling into the water. He immediately pried open old Zhao's mouth to check whether there was any foreign object blocking it. After confirming there were no obstructions, he immediately placed his hands on old Zhao's chest and abdomen. No one knew what technique he used, but with a gentle press of his hands, in the next instant, old Zhao spat out a large mouthful of murky water. Then elder Dr. Chun pressed again, and old Zhao spat out another mouthful of murky water. Just like that, elder Dr. Chun continued pressing, and with each press, old Zhao would spit out a mouthful of murky water. After 7 or 8 presses, the murky water he spat out dwindled, and by a dozen or so presses, old Zhao, who had been unconscious all this time, suddenly coughed a few times and slowly opened his eyes. "He's awake! He's awake! Old Zhao is alive! Elder Dr. Chun is truly amazing!" The villagers shouted in surprise and joy. They were profoundly impressed by old Dr. Chen's medical skill. When they had carried old Zhao in, they saw his chest was almost not moving, and feared that he might have been lost. But elder Dr. Chun, with his miraculous skills, managed to revive him. Old Zhao coughed for a while and then slowly regained consciousness. He looked around at the people with a somewhat bewildered gaze. "Where am I?" Chapter 27. Falling ill. "Where am I?" Old Zhao awoke and looked around at the people, asking somewhat bewilderedly, "Old Zhao, have you forgotten? You fell into the water, nearly drowned, and we rescued you." "Exactly. We heard your cries for help, and when we arrived, you were almost fully submerged. If it weren't for old Dr. Chen's excellent medical skills, you'd be meeting your old dad by now. How did you end up in the water? Were you pulled in by a fish?" Amidst the villagers' clamorous questions, old Zhao finally began to remember some of what had happened. Then it hit him. "Right, the fish. Where's my fishing rod?" "You're still thinking about your fishing rod? When we saved you, you were clinging onto it for dear life. It was such a hassle we chucked it on the riverbank." A villager responded. "Ouch! How could you just throw my rod away? Where did you throw it?" Old Zhao became anxious. Now the villager was displeased. "What's with that, old Zhao? We went out of our way to save you, and you haven't even thanked us yet. Instead you're blaming us." "That's right, had we known, we wouldn't have saved you. Maybe just let you drown. Ungrateful, after we bothered to drag you out of the river, and even made the effort to carry you to the elder doctor's place." The other villagers also became discontented. Well, I was just worried about my fishing rod. I did put a lot of effort into making it. Don't take it the wrong way, and thank you all for saving me." He hastily expressed his gratitude, realizing his fault. The villagers had their pride but a soft heart. Seeing old Zhao apologize, their expressions softened somewhat. "All right, stop fussing over your broken rod. You should hurry up and tell us how you ended up in the water." I remember you never wade into the river. Another villager pressed. I jumped in myself, old Zhao muttered, then finally came clean. You jumped in yourself? A villager incredulously asked. Don't you know you can't swim? How could you dare jump into the river? How was I to know the water would be that deep? I thought it would at most reach my thighs. Old Zhao defended himself. But why would you jump into the river? Well, that's because... Hesitating for a moment, old Zhao confessed. In a moment of carelessness, a fish pulled away my rod. My head got hot, and I wanted to snatch back my rod. So I just jumped in. Not far away. Lu Qing, just as expected. When Dun recounted the incident earlier, he had guessed that old Zhao had fallen in while trying to grab his fishing rod. He had seen such incidents too many times in his past life. He had even done the same himself. But he hadn't expected that old Zhao, not even knowing how to swim, would be so reckless. You're such a fool. The other villagers had not anticipated that old Zhao could have nearly lost his life for such a reason. That rotten fishing rod isn't worth much. Just go up the mountain, chop down a bamboo, and you could make another one easily. For that thing, you nearly threw your life away. Have you been goaded by a pig? A villager who was on good terms with old Zhao immediately began to scold him. Old Zhao dared not speak. He dared even less to admit that when he jumped in, it wasn't just because he was fond of the fishing rod. More so, he couldn't bear to let go of the big fish that had bitten the bait and could easily drag away his rod. He had coveted the 2 big fish that Lu Qing caught yesterday, green with envy. Such big fish that could be eaten for several meals. Now that he finally had the chance to catch a big fish himself, how could he let it slip away? However, this incident confirmed for him that there indeed were big fish at that spot. Next time, as long as he was more careful, he would surely catch one. The villagers didn't know old Zhao's thoughts, or they would have scolded him thoroughly. At this moment, old Zhao tried to stand up but found himself weak and powerless, unable to exert any strength. With his head also feeling heavy and dizzy, unable to move his body properly. He was suddenly alarmed. Old Dr. Chan, what's wrong with me? Why can't I move? Old Dr. Chan sighed. You were in the water too long. The cold has seeped into your body, and you drank a lot of the contaminated river water, damaging your internal organs. You even stopped breathing for quite a while. Although I've expelled the contaminated water from inside you and awakened you, your body has sustained injuries. What should I do then, elder doctor? You must save me, save me. Upon hearing this, old Zhao was utterly terrified and pleaded desperately. The thought of catching a big fish had long since been cast away. Don't be anxious. I am a doctor and of course I will treat you, the elder doctor said soothingly. However, you are not young anymore, and your body won't recover as easily. You must rest and recuperate peacefully for a while. Will I be able to walk again in the future? Old Zhao asked with hope. Walking shouldn't be a problem, but as for how much you'll recover, that depends on how you rest, the elder doctor replied. As long as I can walk, that's good enough. Old Zhao's heart relaxed a bit. He was genuinely afraid that he would become paralyzed. Where's my dad? Where is he? Just as old Zhao breathed a sigh of relief, suddenly, a commotion arose from outside in the courtyard, followed by a group of people rushing in. Leading them were 2 young men, a woman, and an elderly woman. Others, too, were villagers who had heard the news and come. Dad! The older of the young men, seeing old Zhao lying there, rushed over. I heard Dashan shouting that you had fallen into the water and were being brought here to the elder doctor. What in the world happened? It turned out that when Dan and others were bringing old Zhao over, they also sent someone to old Zhao's home to notify his family. I'm fine now, old Zhao said to his son with a guilty conscience. What do you mean fine? A villager bluntly exposed his lie. Ah Ming, your dad went fishing alone, jumped into the river himself, and nearly drowned. Then he recounted the entire incident thoroughly. As soon as the villager finished speaking, the elderly woman, old Zhao's wife, burst into tears and scolding. You good for nothing, I told you not to go fishing, but you insisted. You can't swim, so why go to the riverbank, let alone jump into the river? Do you wish to die and drag me along with you? Old Zhao's son, Zhao Ming, also looked uneasy. But as his son, he didn't feel it was his place to scold his father. He could only advise, "Dad, let's not go fishing anymore. Okay? We don't lack that bit of fish at home, so why insist on doing it?" His second son also said, "Yeah, Dad, in the future, just tell us whatever you want to eat. No matter how much trouble it is, I'll get it for you. Just don't do such dangerous things again. I won't go anymore. I won't go at all in the future." Old Zhao, red-faced from his wife's and son's admonishing, could only agree. "Don't worry, Ming. Even if your dad wanted to go fishing again, he can't now," another villager chimed in. "Old Dr. Chan said that your dad got a severe soaking this time and it's left him with ailments. If he doesn't rest and recover properly, he might even find walking difficult in the future." What? The Zhao family was immediately shocked. Chapter 28: Elder Doctor's Merit. In the end, old Zhao was carried away by his two sons amid his wife's scolding. Old Dr. Chan had given him an acupuncture treatment and prescribed some medicine, and old Zhao's complexion had already improved a lot when he left. Once old Zhao's family left, the villagers, having nothing exciting left to see and not daring to disturb old Dr. Chen further, began to disperse. "Are you leaving, Qing?" Brother Duan said to Lu Qing. Lu Qing, why are you here and little Yen too?" It was then that the other villagers noticed Lu Qing and little Yen standing in a corner. "I've been here the whole time. It's just that everyone was concerned about Uncle Zhao's health and didn't notice me," Lu Qing said with a smile. "Brother Duan, you guys go ahead. I still have some things I want to ask Grandpa Chen." "Ask for advice?" It was only then that Brother Duan noticed the book in Lu Qing's hand, suddenly realizing, "You're here learning from old Dr. Chan?" "Yes. I'm learning a bit about herbal medicine from Grandpa Chen," Lu Qing didn't deny. At this remark, the villagers were all astonished. Could it be that Lu Qing was so highly regarded by the elder doctor? After their surprise, what followed was envy. The elder doctor's medical skills were well known. He could even save those on the brink of death. Many had seen the state Lu Qing was in when he was ill, but ultimately, it was the elder doctor's prescription that had cured him. Earlier, when old Zhao fell into the water, they said his complexion was ashen and he was breathless. Then, with just a few manipulations by the elder doctor, the man was revived. To say his medical skills could bring the dying back to life was no exaggeration. Now that Lu Qing had the opportunity to learn medicine from the elder doctor, how could they not be envious? But though they envied him, the villagers knew that such things could not be envied into existence. Learning medical skills was clearly not easy, and one had to be extremely intelligent. Otherwise, one wouldn't even manage to start. See how Lu Qing was holding a book? All the characters known by everyone in the village combined probably wouldn't fill a basket. Only Lu Qing, who had been taught by his grandfather from a young age, could recognize some characters. Perhaps this was also why old Dr. Chun valued Lu Qing. Thinking this, the envy in many villagers' hearts lessened somewhat, because they knew that even if such good fortune fell on them, they wouldn't have the capability to seize it. An elderly villager stepped forward and patted Lu Qing on the shoulder. "Good for you, Lu Qing. You must learn well from the elder doctor and try to master all his skills." The sudden encouragement left Lu Qing a bit bewildered. He wanted to say that he was really only learning a bit about herbal medicine from old Dr. Chun. But seeing the earnest look in the old man's eyes, he could only nod. "I will try my best." Even after the villagers had left, Lu Qing still felt somewhat perplexed. He had thought that everyone would be envious and jealous to see him studying medicine with the elder doctor. But he had just seen it. There was envy among the villagers, and jealousy too, but it wasn't as intense as he had imagined. Instead, beyond the envy and jealousy, it seemed they genuinely hoped he could indeed master the elder doctor's medical skills. Lu Qing did not like to assume the worst about others. But he also knew that the human heart is unpredictable, and sometimes jealousy comes without any obvious reason. "Do you feel puzzled?" Old Dr. Chun came up beside Lu Qing. What? Lu Qing asked, not understanding. Don't you understand why the people in the village hope so much that you can learn my medical skills? Old Dr. Chun said with a smile. Lu Qing nodded. He didn't quite understand. Did the elder doctor know the reason? Lu Qing, do you know how many doctors there were in this village and the nearby villages when I settled here? The elder doctor didn't directly answer Lu Qing's question but asked instead. Lu Qing shook his head. When the elder doctor came to the village, the original host was young and didn't have many memories of this. Not even one. The elder doctor gave an answer that surprised Lu Qing. Before I came to this village, none of the nearby villages had a single doctor. When villagers fell ill with minor illnesses, they would generally pick some herbs they recognized and boil them to drink, or they would go to the midwife or witch for some medicine. The rest depended largely on enduring the illness. Only when they couldn't bear it anymore would they go to the city to seek medical help. But the serious illnesses in this world mostly evolve from minor ones. By the time they couldn't endure anymore and went to the city to seek medical help, it was often already a serious illness. Serious illnesses are difficult to treat, even for city doctors who aren't sure they could cure all illnesses. Moreover, living in the city is not easy, let alone seeking medical help. Even if city doctors were confident in their treatment, the excessive medical fees were not something ordinary villagers could afford. Therefore, for ordinary villagers, a serious illness often meant that their life was soon to end. Before I came to the village, the number of people who died from illnesses every year in your nearby villages was far from small. Lu Qing recalled, and indeed, there seemed to be funerals every year in the village before the elder doctor's arrival. When I traveled here years ago and saw many people in nearby villages suffering from diseases without recourse to medical help, I couldn't bear it and decided to stay, hoping to give these villagers a chance at life. Little did I expect that this stay would last for 10 years. In these 10 years, I can't say I've saved countless people, but at least I've provided a place for the villagers to seek medical help when they fell ill, preventing minor illnesses from turning into serious ones. Lu Qing felt deeply moved. Following what the elder doctor had said, for these 10 years, he really had been a living bodhisattva, ensuring safety for the area. So everyone hoped that I could learn medicine from you, so I could also treat and heal people in the future? Lu Qing asked. Yes, probably everyone is tired of the days when there was no access to medical help. The elder doctor nodded. But isn't Grandpa Chen still here? But I am already very old, the elder doctor said. Although I rarely mingle in the village, I still occasionally hear private discussions about what they would do if I suddenly died one day, where they would go for medical treatment. Lu Qing. He thought of the elder doctor's identity as a cultivator. Those critical villagers surely would not have expected an old man to have such keen hearing. Now Lu Qing fully understood why everyone, despite being envious and jealous when they saw him learning medicine from the elder doctor, still reminded him to study hard. It turned out that everyone was scared of returning to the days without a doctor, afraid that if one day the elder doctor was no longer around, they would return to how things were before. Grandpa Chen, does that make you angry? Lu Qing asked. What do I have to be angry about? Elder Dr. Chun chuckled. It's just human nature, and besides, I really am very old, almost 1 foot in the grave. But I see you're still in very good health. Lu Qing thought to himself. He remembered the red light that he had seen emanating from the elder doctor. Lu Qing, you are a smart boy. You should understand now what everyone meant earlier, right? I understand a little. Lu Qing nodded. Then, would you like to learn medicine from me? The elder doctor suddenly asked. Chapter 29. Test. Delighted. What? Lu Qing looked at the elder doctor in surprise, somewhat doubting if he had misheard just now. Grandpa Chen, did you just say that you want me to study medicine with you? How so, are you not willing? The elder doctor asked. No. It's just that you said before you only wanted me to follow you and learn some herbal knowledge, didn't you? I've changed my mind. Mr. Wang's words earlier reminded me that the village will indeed need a doctor in the future. Since you're the only person in the village who can read, perhaps I should give you this opportunity. Mr. Wang was the elder who had earlier patted Lu Qing on the shoulder, urging him to follow old Dr. Chen and study medicine diligently. Lu Qing was stunned. He had thought it would be a long time before he'd have the opportunity to study medicine. Unexpectedly, the situation had changed so quickly. A look of joy crossed his face, and he was about to give thanks when old Dr. Chen continued, "However, don't be too pleased with yourself just yet. The path to learning medicine requires talent. If you don't have the talent, even if I'm willing to teach, you might not be able to learn." "What counts as having talent?" asked Lu Qing. 1 month, the elder doctor replied. "As long as you can memorize all the names and properties of the herbs recorded in the 100 Herb Scripture in your hands within a month, I will formally take you on as an apprentice. If you can't do it, then you might as well honestly learn some herbal knowledge and make a living as an herb gatherer." "Grandpa Chan, I will definitely try hard to memorize the entire 100 Herb Scripture," Lu Qing said excitedly. It was just memorizing the 100 Herb Scripture, something he could do right now. However, Lu Qing knew that if he really recited the entire 100 Herb Scripture in front of the elder doctor now, what awaited him might not be the elder doctor's surprise but fear instead. So he couldn't rush this matter. He needed to give the elder doctor time to accept it. After all, he had previously told people that he could only recognize some characters, not that he was extensively read. Following that, Lu Qing took the 100 Herb Scripture and started asking old Dr. Chen about some questions in it. Mainly about some rare characters and the pronunciation of the names of medicinal materials. Though superpower had helped him memorize the entire 100 Herb Scripture, there were some meanings of words that he wanted to understand more deeply. It was also a good opportunity to confirm whether they were different from his understanding. To this, the elder doctor naturally had all the answers, explaining in detail to Lu Qing. And it was during this process of explanation that old Dr. Chen was amazed to discover Lu Qing's excellent memory. Many words, after just explaining them once or twice, he could basically remember and didn't require further elaboration. "Lu Qing, you truly are a very smart child," the elder doctor said with great satisfaction. Lu Qing's performance greatly exceeded his expectations. At this rate, perhaps he really could memorize the entire 100 Herb Scripture within a month. "It's because Grandpa Chen teaches so well," Lu Qing said modestly. At the same time, he also breathed a sigh of relief internally. This was the first time he felt pretending to be confused could also be tiring. Even though he already understood many things, he still needed to ask several times and couldn't let the elder doctor notice any loopholes. It was a great test of his acting skills. "All right, let's stop here for today. Learning characters shouldn't be done too much at once. Otherwise, it's easy to get them mixed up. Take the 100 Herb Scripture back with you, have a good look at it tonight, and come back up tomorrow. I'll test your progress then." "Grandpa Chen, don't I need to wait until the next acupuncture session to come back?" Lu Qing asked in surprise. "Now that you're going to study the 100 Herb Scripture, why wait so long? If more than 3 days pass, I'm afraid you'll have forgotten what you learned today," the elder doctor said with a laugh and a scolding tone. "Then we'll come back up tomorrow to see you, elder," Lu Qing said joyfully. "Grandpa Chen, does that mean little Yen can still come up to play with you tomorrow?" Little Yen also said happily. "Of course, I'll make you some new pastries tomorrow for you to try." The elder doctor picked up the little tyke. Little Yan's eyes lit up. "New pastries? Will they be as delicious as the yam cake?" "They won't be any worse than the yam cakes." The little tyke suddenly felt like she was about to drool. After leaving the half-mountain small courtyard with little Yen, Lu Qing's heart was still joyous. His gains for the day were still enormous. The red moon carp he had intended to give to Elder Dr. Chen turned out to be such a precious strange fish. After Elder Dr. Chen sells the red moon carp, even after deducting the stew medicine fee he owed to the elder doctor, there should still be some silvertail left. It just so happens that he is very poor right now, and with the silvertail, many urgent matters can be resolved. What's more important is that he learned about the red moon carp's habit of enjoying blood apricots. If that river outside the village could yield one red moon carp, there surely must be others. As long as he is patient, maybe he can catch another. When that time comes, it will be another fortune. Besides the red moon carp, the biggest gain was the opportunity bestowed by old Dr. Chun. Next, as long as he proceeds step by step, thoroughly studies the 100 Herb Scripture, and gains the elder doctor's approval, he will truly obtain the opportunity to learn medical skills. Lu Qing believes that with his superpower and diligent study, he will definitely master medical skill. Moreover, the sudden discovery of this function today also made Lu Qing realize his superpower is even more powerful than he imagined, with many more functions still waiting for him to uncover. With an excited heart, the siblings walked toward their home. Meanwhile, the events that occurred today at the elder doctor's house had already spread throughout the entire village. Especially the fact that Lu Qing was learning medical skills from Dr. Chun was drawing the attention of almost all the villagers. Under the large tree in the center of the village, a group of villagers was discussing. "Do you guys think Lu Qing is really learning medical skill from old Dr. Chun?" A villager asked in surprise. Of course, it's true. Everyone saw it with their own eyes. Lu Qing was reciting from a medical book right there. Another villager responded. Yes, and when we asked Lu Qing, the elder doctor didn't deny it. Isn't that the truth? Another villager added. Does that mean our village will have a doctor of its own in the future? An old man said excitedly. It's too early to say. Lu Qing is just learning from the elder doctor for now. It's hard to say when he will be ready to treat patients. No matter what, it's a hope at least. If there's no doctor in the village, we'd have to go back to the way things were before. Hearing this, the villagers fell silent. Yes, before the elder doctor arrived, when they had any kind of ailments, they could only endure on their own. Some minor ailments might get better after enduring. But the fear was that enduring might lead to bigger problems. In the past, quite a few people in the village had passed away like this. After old Dr. Chun arrived, life became better. No matter the illness, the elder doctor could treat it in some way. Even if he couldn't cure it right away, he could relieve the pain, making it less unbearable for the patient. What's most crucial is that the elder doctor's fees for treating were not expensive. Even if someone couldn't pay the fee temporarily, he still helped out and allowed it to be owed. Where else could you find such a good doctor? Therefore, everyone truly respected old Dr. Chun from the bottom of their hearts. But everyone also knew that the elder doctor was getting on in years. Hence, sometimes they couldn't help but think, what would they do if one day the elder doctor was no longer there? No one wanted to return to those days when they were sick but had no doctor to see. Now, hearing that Lu Qing was studying medical skill from the elder doctor, people genuinely felt happy. Just as everyone was chatting under the tree, suddenly, no one knew who shouted out, Lu Qing is back. Chapter 30. Simple Folk Customs and Bedtime Stories. When Lu Qing brought little Yen back to the village and saw the residents gathered under the large tree chatting, he was greeted with smiling faces. Ah Qing and little Yen are back? One of the villagers said cheerfully. Yes, we just came back from Grandpa Chen's place. Lu Qing nodded, slightly puzzled. What are you all doing here? Did something happen? Not at all. The villagers shook their heads repeatedly. Ah Qing, you are learning from elder Dr. Chun. You must study hard and diligently. An elderly person then said. Yes, if you have any difficulties, just talk to us. We're all from the same village. No need to be so formal. It's rare that elder Dr. Chun is willing to teach you medical skills. You must grasp the opportunity well. Other villagers also chimed in. Looking at the concerned expressions on the villagers' faces, Lu Qing felt somewhat dazed. He remembered what the elder doctor had told him before he had descended the mountain. Lu Qing, do you know why I chose to settle in your village among the nearby villages? Lu Qing does not know. It's because I really like the local customs of your village. I've wandered around for decades, traveling north and south, having seen and lived in countless villages, if not 1,000, then 800. Among these villages, some are wealthy, some are poor, some are righteous, some are xenophobic, all kinds. But the local customs of your village are rarely so simple. uniting and helping each other, neighbors living harmoniously, supporting one another. Although villagers here occasionally quarrel, they don't hold grudges, and when someone is in need, help is still provided. Such a harmonious village is rare, even in the extensive travels of my life. When I first came to your village, it was the simplicity that attracted me, and ultimately, I decided to settle here. After listening to the elder doctor's words, Lu Qing had thought deeply at that moment. Indeed, even he could feel that the villagers were very simple. Otherwise, in a village with a slightly worse atmosphere, he and little Yen would probably have been treated coldly and even bullied. Where else would they still be able to live peacefully in their own home? Grandpa Chun, you just mentioned that the villages outside seem different from ours? Lu Qing had asked then. Very different. Other villages, even if harmonious, do not support each other or have the spirit of righteousness like your village. Why is our village different from others? Well, I'm not very clear on that. Perhaps you can ask some of the older villagers later. Reflecting on the conversation with the elder doctor, and looking at the villagers with eager concern, Lu Qing suddenly smiled and nodded seriously. Don't worry everyone. I will definitely study medical skills diligently with Grandpa Chun. After saying goodbye to the villagers, Lu Qing held little Yan's hand and walked home, feeling very cheerful. He felt somewhat fortunate. Luckily, he had been reborn in today's village. If he had been reborn in those villages with poor customs that the elder doctor spoke of, he would have faced a bunch of troubles. Now, although life was a bit tough, there weren't so many frustrations. Moreover, as he became more familiar with this world, he believed that, even if life was tough, it would continue to get better for him. After returning home, Lu Qing let little Yen go play, and he took out the 100 Herb scripture and continued to read. Knowing the value of the red moon carp, he was no longer in such a hurry to find ways to make money. Once Elder Dr. Chun helped sell the red moon carp, he would have a sum of silver incoming, enough for him and little Yen to live on for a while. Now, what he valued most was the test from the elder doctor. As long as he passed the test, he would officially follow the elder doctor to learn medicine, and he must seize this opportunity. Therefore, even with the help of his superpower, he had already memorized the entire 100 Herb scripture. Lu Qing still did not relax, continuing to study the content diligently. Time slowly elapsed while Lu Qing read. In the meantime, some villagers came over wanting to ask about fishing. After all, the 2 big fish he had caught yesterday were quite shocking to everyone. Some people wanted to come over and learn from his experience. However, seeing Lu Qing reading in the courtyard, they didn't dare to disturb him and quietly left. For dinner, Lu Qing still made fish, adding a bunch of wild vegetables picked from the yard. After dinner, as the sky darkened, Lu Qing read for a while longer until it was completely dark. The household couldn't afford to light an oil lamp now, so as soon as it darkened, he put away the book. Yet, after an afternoon of revision, his familiarity with the 100 Herb scripture had further improved. Except for some words he still didn't fully understand, there were almost no doubts left. After all, the 100 Herb scripture was only a book introducing herbal medicine, belonging to a kind of popular science medical book, and did not delve into medical theory, so it was not difficult to understand. Not to mention, Lu Qing had the help of his superpower. He believed that even if Elder Chun wanted to test him right now, he would be able to pass completely. After putting the book away, Lu Qing prepared to coax little Yen to sleep. This other world was not like the brightly lit world of his former life, where night life began in the early morning. Here, staying up until 10 o'clock at night was already considered staying up late. Usually, everyone went to bed around 8 or 9 o'clock after dark. Brother, little Yen is not sleepy yet. The little one was lying in bed, covered with a small quilt. Moonlight shone through the window onto the bed, illuminating the child's round eyes perfectly. Little Yen, be good and sleep early. Tomorrow we need to go to Grandpa Chen's place. Lu Qing coaxed. But little Yen can't sleep. The little one acted stubbornly. What should we do then? Lu Qing was somewhat at a loss. Brother, tell me a story. I want to hear about that little monkey from last time. the little one revealed her true intention. All right, Lu Qing sighed. Where did we leave off last time? He was somewhat regretful. The last 2 nights, after little Yen woke up crying in the middle of the night, no matter how he tried to soothe her, she wouldn't stop. In the end, he could only tell her a story, and unexpectedly the little one instantly got hooked. Last time, we left off where the little monkey wanted to become the king. Little Yen remembered quite clearly. Okay, so that day, as the monkeys were frolicking in the mountain stream, they stumbled upon a Shualian cave. Indeed, the story Lu Qing was telling was that of the great sage equaling heaven. However, he hadn't read the original work in his previous life, and his memory of the specific details of the story was quite vague. He could only rely on his impressions to improvise and organize the language. Luckily, the story of the Monkey King was endlessly fascinating for children. Even though he skimmed over a lot of details, little Yen still listened with great interest. But ultimately, she was just a child, who fell asleep quickly, influenced by the calming and soul-stabilizing effects of the green armor fish stone. Little Yen couldn't stay awake to hear the little monkey officially become king. As her eyelids battled, and she fell into a deep sleep, Lu Qing gently covered her with the quilt, preparing to return to his own bed. Suddenly, he heard a noise coming from outside. Chapter 31 Strange Sounds. The sudden noise startled Lu Qing at first, and then made him somewhat cautious. What was that sound? Human, beast, or rat? He thought of the mysterious little beast that had stolen 2 large chunks of fish meat the night before. Could it be that the critter had come back? But he had already brought the fish meat inside his house. Surely this creature wouldn't have the audacity to barge in, would it? Recalling the information he had gathered with his superpower that morning, the mysterious little beast seemed to have sharp claws. Lu Qing couldn't help but tighten his grip on a stick that was by the bedside. At this moment, he missed the electricity of his previous life immensely. If this were a house from his previous life, no matter what kind of beast it was, simply turning on a light would likely scare it away. Unfortunately, he could hardly afford to light an oil lamp at the moment, let alone use bright lights to scare off wild animals. The noise outside persisted, sounding like something scratching at the door. Despite Lu Qing's usual courage, his heart felt a bit fuzzy at that moment. He gripped the stick tightly and quietly stepped out of the room, entering the hall. Suddenly, the stick struck the door with a loud bang. The noise outside immediately ceased. Lu Qing stood in the hall holding the stick, forcing himself to stay calm. It was a long time before he heard that noise again, but he dared not open the door to rashly check. After a long while, when he was certain there was no more movement outside, Lu Qing finally returned to his room. There was no denying the sedative and calming effects of the green armor fishstone were quite good. Even such a loud noise hadn't woken little Yen. Otherwise, Lu Qing would have had to spend a long time comforting her. That night, however, Lu Qing did not sleep well. Fearing that the creature might return, he hardly slept at all, only dozing off a little as dawn approached. As a result, when he arrived at old Dr. Chen's place the next day, Lu Qing was sporting 2 large dark circles under his eyes and looked utterly listless. Seeing him like this, the elder doctor immediately furrowed his brows. Lu Qing, I know you want to master the 100 herb scripture as soon as possible, but learning is about balancing work and rest. Sometimes, burying yourself in your studies can be counterproductive. Besides, if you wish to become a doctor, you must take good care of your own body. If you can't even look after yourself, how can you maintain a clear mind to treat and heal others? The elder doctor mistakenly thought Lu Qing's haggard appearance was from staying up the previous night reading. Grandpa-chan, it's not what you think, Lu Qing said with a wry smile. I didn't sleep well last night for another reason. He then told of the previous night's events. So you're saying there was a wild beast trying to get into your house last night, and that's why you didn't sleep well? The elder doctor exclaimed in surprise. Yes, because I was worried it might sneak in and harm little Yen. I didn't dare to sleep. Lu Qing rubbed his eyes and said, Brother, how come little Yen didn't know anything about it? The little tyke had been completely unaware of the previous night's events, and her eyes suddenly widened. You slept like a little pig last night, so of course you wouldn't know. Lu Qing reached out to tap her little nose. But this is no solution. You can't stay up every night on guard. The elder doctor thought for a moment, then turned and went back into his house. Not long after, he came out with a package and handed it to Lu Qing. Take this herbal powder. Master Chun, what is this? Lu Qing asked, holding the item. This is a medicinal powder that I've blended myself. It contains a variety of herbs that repel insects and beasts. When I walk through the mountains, I usually use it for protection. From what you've said, the wild beast shouldn't be too large. Once you return, scatter the powder around your house. The beast will surely be wary and it won't come to bother you again. Upon hearing this, Lu Qing was overjoyed. Thank you, Grandpa Chan. Elder Doctor's medicinal powder really came at the right time. Otherwise, Lu Qing would have considered setting traps to catch that mysterious little beast. However, some information previously obtained through his superpower made him hesitate to act rashly. After all, the mere footprints of that mysterious little beast were already at a white light level. Who knows how formidable it could be as the creature itself. Upon storing the medicinal powder, Lu Qing took out the 100 herb scripture and continued to seek Elder Doctor's guidance. This time, old Dr. Chun was even more surprised. He found that Lu Qing was learning the 100 herb scripture very quickly. Not only had he completely remembered what was taught yesterday, he had also reviewed the remaining content, managing to infer other principles from one fact. At this rate, it wouldn't take long for him to master the entire book. Very good. I can see that you really did put in the effort after going back yesterday, said the elder doctor, stroking his beard and nodding with satisfaction. I dare not forget the advice Grandpa Chen gave me, responded Lu Qing respectfully. Well, let's stop here for today. You have gradually become familiar with the 100 herb scripture, but just being familiar with a medical book is not enough, said Elder Doctor. Whether as a doctor or a herb gatherer, one must be able to identify and select real medicinal herbs. I remember that there are some common medicinal herbs growing near the village. On a regular basis, you should observe them more, comparing them to what's in the 100 herb scripture, to see if the actual herbs match the descriptions in the book, instructed the elder doctor. Yes, I've noted that down, replied Lu Qing. Oh, and tomorrow you and little Yen won't need to come up here. I'll be heading into the city and will take the opportunity to sell that red moon carp for you. You can stay home and review the material, the elder doctor added. Grandpa Chen, are you going into the city? Lu Qing asked excitedly. Indeed, a drugstore in the city has ordered some medicinal materials from me, which I need to deliver, explained the elder doctor. Why, is there something you need me to buy for you? With the sale of the red moon carp, you will have a tidy sum of money. Yes, replied Lu Qing immediately. He indeed had items he wished Elder Doctor could help him buy. Oh, what would you like to buy? I want to buy a cast iron pot, said Lu Qing. Grandpa Chun, you know that our family encountered a misfortune recently, and I sold many of our things. The only cast iron pot we had was also sold, so I want to get a new one. A cast iron pot, that's doable. The elder doctor pondered for a moment and then agreed. Anything else? Also, we're almost out of salt at home, and I'd like to stock up on some more. Do you need to buy anything else? No, let's just buy these 2 items for now. Lu Qing shook his head. In truth, there were many things he wanted to buy. Oil, grain, clothes, shoes, and more. He wanted to purchase many items. But he knew that there was a limit to everything. The elder doctor was his senior and his willingness to help carry items was already quite rare. It would be inappropriate to ask for too much, to be overstepping and lacking propriety. If it wasn't for the fact that cast iron pots and salt could only be bought in the city, he wouldn't have bothered Elder Doctor even for these 2 things. As for the rest, he could buy them himself at the market fair sometime later. Upon returning from old Dr. Chen's place, Lu Qing immediately sprinkled the medicinal powder around the perimeter of the house. He thought that would put an end to all troubles, and he could finally have a good night's sleep. However, After night fell and little Yen fell asleep, he once again heard that sound. Chapter 32 Red Light Spiritual Beast. When Lu Qing heard the familiar scratching at the door, he could hardly believe his ears. Old Dr. Chun hadn't said that his medicinal powder was very effective, that even a jackal, upon smelling it, would still keep its distance? Why was this creature still coming? Lu Qing felt somewhat overwhelmed. Was he to get no sleep tonight again? This couldn't go on. If he didn't resolve this matter, he feared he wouldn't sleep well in future. Having had poor sleep for 2 consecutive nights, Lu Qing's temper was also becoming a little explosive. He wanted to see just what it was that dared to be so bold. Creeping stealthily to the door with a stick from beside his bed, he suddenly flung the latch and threw the door open. This sudden action clearly startled whatever was outside too. A dark shadow instantly darted out into the courtyard. Ever since awakening his superpower, Lu Qing's eyes had undergone some subtle changes that were not easy to notice. Firstly, his vision had improved immensely, allowing him to see things clearly even from a great distance. Secondly, his sensitivity to light sources had sharpened. Though he couldn't yet see in complete darkness, as long as there was a bit of light, he could make things out with considerable clarity. Now, with the help of the rather bright moonlight overhead, Lu Qing could clearly see what had been troubling him these 2 nights. It was a small black beast. About 2 feet in length, it resembled both a cat and a leopard, with 2 large eyes like light bulbs. At the moment, its fur was slightly bristly, its tail raised, limbs low and tense, puffing up its fur as it warily watched Lu Qing. Seeing the appearance of the black beast, Lu Qing let out a sigh of relief. It was lucky that the beast seemed small in stature and didn't appear very fierce. Besides, it could be the creature whose courage was not great enough to come back after he had slammed the door on it the previous night. For some reason, this time, the black beast didn't run away but kept crouching and watching Lu Qing. Lu Qing stood quietly confronting it, unwilling to rashly drive it away. He wanted to use his superpower to ascertain information about the little beast before making a decision. Lu Qing tried to stay calm, his gaze on the little beast. However, his eyes soon widened in shock. A faint red light emerged from the mysterious little beast. Black Night Spirit Fox. Young, female mountain spiritual beast. Extremely fast, with razor-sharp claws that can shatter stones and split metal. Rumors say the Black Night Spirit Fox is fond of fish but has a natural aversion to water, able only to yearn from afar. A red light-level beast. Lu Qing almost jumped in surprise. The superpower radiating from this mysterious beast had already reached the red light level. Wasn't that the same level as old Dr. Chun? No wonder the medicinal powder had been ineffective. Taking several deep breaths, Lu Qing struggled to compose himself. A sense of relief suddenly surged in his heart. It was fortunate he hadn't acted rashly just now. Who would have thought that this little thing was a red light-level spiritual beast? And what were the floating words saying? Extremely fast. Claws that could shatter stones and split metal. Such exaggerated lethality, even tigers and leopards might not match up, right? Thankfully, this little beast was timid. Otherwise, he probably would already be lying on the ground. Quietly hiding the stick behind his back, Lu Qing put on an innocuous smile. "Little fellow, did you come here wanting to eat fish?" The little black beast was still watching Lu Qing cautiously, seemingly not understanding what he was saying. Lu Qing hadn't expected a wild animal to understand his words. He gently shifted his footsteps, trying not to startle the little black beast, and quickly took 2 pieces of dried fish from the kitchen. When Lu Qing appeared at the door holding the fish, he clearly saw the little black beast's eyes light up for a moment. Indeed, this guy was here for the fish. Lu Qing recalled the description in the 3rd note. He held the fish in front of him and shook it. "I'm sorry I scared you just now. These 2 pieces of fish are my apology." In the night, the little black beast's eyes, like light bulbs, followed the moving fish. Seeing this, Lu Qing felt certain. "Take it." He tossed the fish pieces into the yard, intentionally throwing them a bit farther from the beast to avoid startling it. The fish pieces landed on the ground, startling the little beast, which took a few steps back and kept a close eye on Lu Qing. Lu Qing didn't move, standing quietly. Feeling that Lu Qing had no intention to attack, the little black beast's tense fur relaxed a bit. It glanced at the fish on the ground, sniffed a few times, then suddenly moved. Lu Qing only saw a blur as the little beast dashed past. The next moment, the fish on the ground had disappeared. Shortly afterward, the little beast's figure also jumped over the fence and rapidly vanished into the night fog. After waiting quietly for a while and confirming that the little beast had gone, Lu Qing finally closed the door and returned to his room. Once he lay in bed, Lu Qing's heart could no longer be controlled. It began to pound violently. There was no helping it. The situation had indeed been somewhat perilous. Although the black little beast seemed rather timid, who knew if it would attack people when provoked? As the saying goes, even a rabbit will bite when cornered. And that was no rabbit, but a spiritual beast with powerful attacking capabilities. Its claws were sharp enough to break stone and split metal. If they could tear through stone and metal, what chance did flesh and blood stand? Therefore, Lu Qing really dared not provoke it. Fortunately, this black little beast was not only timid, but also showed no signs of aggressiveness. Otherwise, whether Lu Qing could have survived just now was debatable. What kind of fearsome beast is this? And how have I never heard people in the village mention it? As he calmed down, Lu Qing harbored a doubt. He then recalled the description Superpower had detected. That little beast seemed to be still a juvenile. Could its parents be nearby? They probably weren't. If its parents were around, they likely would have already arrived in a group. Lu Qing hadn't forgotten that the note also mentioned that the Black Knight Spirit Fox particularly enjoyed eating fish. Had it migrated from another place, been driven away by its parents, or had some accident befallen them? Lu Qing made several guesses but got nowhere. However, he had a premonition that after tonight, this black little beast would likely visit him again. He had no basis for it. It was just a feeling. It seems I can't give up fishing after all. Lu Qing thought somewhat helplessly. He had originally planned to put fishing on hold and devote himself fully to studying medical skill. After all, once Elder Dr. Chun sold the red moon carp, he would have a sizable amount of money, enough to ensure a worry-free life for him and little Yen for quite some time. But now, with this black little beast depending on him, he had no choice but to change his plans. That was a red light level spiritual beast, not one he could afford to provoke. He could only prioritize appeasing it for now. What kind of situation is this? Lu Qing couldn't help but lament. Chapter 33, Not Knowing. That night, Lu Qing finally had a good sleep. The next morning, after breakfast, he took little Yen to fish by the river. This time, he noticed there were far fewer people at the riverside. The earlier bustling scene where 7 or 8 people jostled for a fishing spot was gone. It made sense. Lately, it was the busy farming season. There was still much work to be done in the fields, and not everyone truly had the leisure to fish every day. After all, fishing was just a pastime. It might occasionally improve the diet, but it was the crops from the fields that were vital, the lifeline of the farmers. This time, Lu Qing did not go to the miracle fish fishing spot. With strange fish, it's fine if you catch them once in a while. It would raise suspicions if you caught several every few days. Any fool would realize something was amiss. Moreover, even if he caught any strange fish now, he had nowhere to sell them. He couldn't always expect old Dr. Chun to help sell them. As for eating them, he was too reluctant. Ever since learning of the strange fish's value, Lu Qing had planned to treat them as an important source of income. So he decided to fish for strange fish either periodically or when he was more capable of protecting himself. Lu Qing chose another bright fishing spot he discovered the first time he came to the riverside. After repairing the fishing spot a bit, Lu Qing started casting his line. This fishing session was uneventful compared to the previous 2. Within an hour, he had nearly half a bucket of fish. The fish varied in size, the biggest being a grass carp weighing 2 or 3 pounds, and the smallest still being those little white ones. After catching nearly half a bucket full of fish, Lu Qing began to pack up. These fish should be enough to feed the Black Knight Spirit Fox for several nights. After returning home with the fish, Lu Qing waited for little Yen to fall asleep that evening, and sure enough, he heard the familiar scratching at the door. This time he was not panicked. He took out the fish he had prepared earlier from the kitchen and calmly opened the door of the house. As the door opened, there stood the little black beast in the middle of the courtyard. However, its mood was visibly much more stable than before. Although still wary in its eyes, it did not bristle all over like it did the previous night. "I've been expecting you," Lu Qing said with a smile, making his aura as calm and friendly as possible. Then he brought out a wooden basin filled with fish from behind him, slowly walking towards the courtyard. The little black beast saw him coming and quickly backed away a few steps, letting out a slight warning sound. Lu Qing immediately stopped. "Don't be nervous. I mean no harm." He gently placed the wooden basin on the ground and slowly retreated. Only after he went back into the house did the little beast calm down. Sniffing a few times, it swiftly darted to the basin. In the next moment, it had already disappeared with the biggest fish vanishing to some place to eat. Lu Qing wasn't surprised. He quietly waited inside the doorway. As expected, after a while, the little beast reappeared in the courtyard, took another fish and disappeared once again. The little thing was quite cautious. Lu Qing laughed to himself, with no interest in watching a wild animal eat. There were plenty of little fish in the bucket, and with the little beast running to and fro to feed, there was no telling how long it would take. He didn't want to wait around. Lu Qing closed the door and returned to his room, his heart completely at ease. This matter was now perfectly concluded. Although it cost some fish, it wasn't much for him, who loved to fish. Every time he went fishing, he caught more than he could eat in one sitting. Having the Black Knight Spirit Fox help consume the surplus was not a bad thing. It was like the old rural life, when leftover scraps at home were eaten by cats and dogs. With a relaxed mindset, Lu Qing slept quite well that night. The next morning, he went out to the courtyard and saw the wooden basin was completely empty. The little beast had eaten all the fish, even the ones over 2 pounds. It had quite the appetite. After cleaning and putting away the basin, Lu Qing started to prepare breakfast. After finishing a meal with little Yen, Lu Qing decided to visit old Dr. Chun. He took more than a pound of freshly slaughtered small fish with him and set out with little Yen. Last time, the elder doctor had mentioned he liked eating small fish, and since Lu Qing had caught quite a few yesterday, he brought some along. Walking up the mountain path, Lu Qing's face showed a hint of anticipation. Elder Chun had gone into town yesterday to help him sell the red moon carp, and Lu Qing was uncertain about the outcome. Although Master Chun had said that the red moon carp was a priceless and precious strange fish that was easy to sell, Lu Qing felt somewhat uneasy until he actually saw the silver tails. Upon arriving at Half Mountain Small Courtyard, Lu Qing saw that old Dr. Chun had just finished his morning exercises. "Grandpa Chun," little Yen ran up to him. "Little Yen, it's been a day. Did you miss Grandpa?" The elder doctor picked up the little girl. "I did," little Yen sweetly replied. "Ah." "Hello, Grandpa Chin." Lu Qing also stepped forward to greet him. You look well today. So, that beast hasn't been bothering you again, has it?" In the elder doctor's view, his herbal powder was always effective. No matter what kind of wild beast it was, it should keep its distance upon smelling it. He gave Lu Qing such a big bag that even tigers and leopards would think twice before coming near. He assumed a mere unknown beast wouldn't be an exception. However, at this moment, Lu Qing seemed a bit embarrassed. "Grandpa Chen, the powder doesn't seem very effective. That beast has come to our house on the last 2 nights. "Oh, how can that be?" Old Dr. Chun was taken aback. "I don't know what's going on, but it seems like that creature isn't afraid of the powder," Lu Qing answered honestly. "How did you manage to drive it away, then?" Old Dr. Chun looked over Lu Qing's complexion again, confident he hadn't misjudged and that Lu Qing didn't look like someone who had been up all night. "I didn't do anything special. I found out that the creature seemed to be coming for the fish, so I threw some fish to it, and after eating, it left." "Likes eating fish?" The elder doctor pondered for a moment. "What does the beast look like? Did you get a good look?" "It's a black little beast, about 2 feet in length, with a pitch-black body, but its paws and the area around its neck are white. Grandpa Chin, do you know what kind of beast this is? A 2-foot-long black little beast? The elder doctor thought for a while and shook his head. I've traveled far and wide for many years but have never seen a beast with this appearance. Even you, Grandpa Chen, don't recognize it? Lu Qing was somewhat surprised. What are you talking about? The elder doctor laughed. This world is vast and boundless, and there are countless living creatures. I may have wandered for decades, but the places I've seen are but a fraction of this expansive world. Isn't it normal that there are creatures I don't recognize? Grandpa Chun has a point, Lu Qing nodded. He had hoped to get more information about the Black Knight Spirit Fox from the elder doctor, but it seemed that was not going to happen. However, based on what you said, that little beast seems to have a spiritual nature. Since it has no intention of attacking people and only comes seeking a meal, there's no need to think about driving it away, at least for now. The elder doctor, with his wide experience, knew that there were very special living creatures in this world. Listening to Lu Qing's description, the black little beast could very well be one of them. I had the same thought. Since we can't finish all the fish at home, it doesn't hurt to share some with it, Lu Qing said with a smile. Even if he had to drive it away, he wouldn't dare. That creature was formidable. Little Yen, who had been quietly listening to the conversation, finally understood some of what was being talked about. Her eyes immediately lit up. Brother, can you let little Yen watch the next time you feed that little beast fish? I'm afraid that might be difficult, Lu Qing said. It seems to only come over after you've fallen asleep. Why is that? The little one felt somewhat aggrieved. Does it dislike little Yen? I don't know about that. Maybe the little beast is timid. Once it gets more familiar with us, it should be willing to meet you. Then you should quickly make friends with it, brother. Little Yen also wants to see what the little beast looks like, Little Yen said expectantly. I'll try my best, was all Lu Qing could say, nodding in agreement. By the way, Grandpa Chin, this is for you. I caught some small fish yesterday. Didn't you say last time you wanted some? I don't know if this will be enough. Lu Qing handed over the prepared fresh small fish to the elder doctor. The elder doctor looked at them and was quite satisfied. Put them inside. Also, I've brought back the items you asked me to buy. They're in the house. Chapter 34 Luck and Change. As soon as he entered the room, Lu Qing saw a brand new large iron pot placed there. Old Dr. Chan then returned to the inner room and took out a cloth bag. This silver is from the sale of the red moon carp. Keep it safe. The elder doctor handed the cloth bag to Lu Qing. When Lu Qing received it, he felt its hefty weight and was startled. So much, Grandpa Chin. How much did the red moon carp sell for? You're quite lucky, the elder doctor said. The nobleman to whom I delivered the medicinal herbs. His wife has been weak recently and needed nourishment. Upon hearing that I had a red moon carp, he didn't hesitate to offer a price of 100 silver taels. 100 silver taels? Lu Qing's eyes widened. Grandpa Chun, didn't you say before that my red moon carp was too big and had decreased in value? He remembered the elder doctor had mentioned before that even the best red moon carp were priced at no more than 100 silver taels each. That's why I said you were lucky. The elder doctor, stroking his beard, replied. Normally, indeed, only the best red moon carp would be worth 100 silver taels. But that nobleman is quite fond of his wife. Apart from the red moon carp's exceptional taste, it also has excellent nourishing effects, which is why that nobleman directly offered me the highest price to secure it. Such a coincidence. After hearing this, Lu Qing couldn't help but agree with the elder doctor's words. His luck truly wasn't bad at all. This 100 silver taels, I've given you all in cash. After deducting the 10 silver needed for your past medical treatment and medicines, and the 5 silver for the iron pot and salt, there are still 85 silver left. Lu Qing opened the cloth bag to look inside, and the white silver tael shone brightly. Almost all were silver ingots, both large and small, with the large ones being 10 taels per ingot, the small ones 5 taels per ingot, along with some broken silver. Clearly, the elder doctor had considered his daily needs and thus exchanged some of it for broken silver. As for the 15 silver spent, Lu Qing didn't pay it much mind. The elder doctor's fee of 10 silver for the consultation and medicine might seem expensive, but based on his understanding of the elder doctor, he suspected that old Dr. Chun had actually undercharged him. And the expenses for the iron pot and salt. Putting salt aside, but the cost of the iron pot was to be expected. After all, he remembered that the original owner had sold the family's iron pot for quite a sum. Even now, there were not many families in the village that could afford to use an iron pot, a testament to the value of an iron pot. Yet even if the iron pot was expensive, Lu Qing was determined to buy one. Having been in this world for so long, he was tired of eating food that was either boiled or stewed. He was craving for some flavor. With the iron pot, the variety of dishes he could cook would substantially increase. Clothing of lesser quality wasn't a big deal, but food was something he could not skimp on. That was one of Lu Qing's life principles. Also, I've already seasoned the iron pot for you last night. You can use it directly when you get back. No need to season it yourself, the elder doctor added. Looking at it, Lu Qing noticed that the inside of the iron pot was indeed well seasoned, shiny with oil. Grandpa Chun, seasoning a pot requires a lot of oil, right? I'll pay you for it, Lu Qing said as he opened the cloth bag. No need, Elder Chun waved his hand. It's just a matter of 2 pieces of fat pork. It doesn't cost much, and I can't be bothered to cut more silver for you. Seeing that the elder doctor refused to take the money, Lu Qing had to drop the matter. He knew that in this world, there was a certain disdain for pork. Especially the upper-class nobility considered pork to be lowly, something only the poor and humble would eat. Even moderately wealthy families preferred beef and mutton. Therefore, the price of pork in this world wasn't considered expensive. Of course, not expensive was relative to beef and mutton. For the commoners at the bottom of society, meat was always expensive. So even pork was not something that could be eaten often. It was only during festivals or when there was extra money, or when guests came to the house, that they would buy some to eat. However, Lu Qing knew that old Dr. Chun was clearly not short of money, and to him, 2 pieces of fatty pork were probably of little concern. Thank you, Grandpa Chun. All right, don't fuss over such a small matter, the elder doctor said indifferently. You lie down on the bed and I'll give you the acupuncture treatment. Lu Qing did as he was told, taking off his shirt and lying on the wooden bed. Old Dr. Chun took out the silver needle. He said, Today is the 3rd time I'm giving you acupuncture, and it will be the last. After this session, there will be no need for further treatments. Grandpa Chun, are you saying that my body is all healed? Lu Qing asked excitedly. I can't say it's fully recovered, but your primordial qi has stabilized for the most part. In the days to come, you just need to eat well and rest enough and you'll slowly get back to full health. There won't be a need for more strengthening needles. Thank you, Grandpa Chun. All right now, relax your heart and spirit, and don't move. Elder Chun began the treatment, and soon after, the acupuncture was complete, and Lu Qing fell into a deep sleep. The elder doctor looked at the sleeping Lu Qing, his brow slightly furrowed. Although Lu Qing had been recuperating under his care for some time and had made a very good recovery, he still hadn't found the reason why Lu Qing had suddenly started to get better in the first place. During this time, while taking the opportunity to administer the acupuncture, he had thoroughly examined Lu Qing's body. Indeed, there was nothing abnormal inside, nor any lingering illnesses. Truly baffled him. After pondering for a while and still not making any headway, old Dr. Chun eventually let go of his concern. If he couldn't find the reason, it didn't matter. The important thing was that Lu Qing's health had been restored, and his efforts had not been in vain. Grandpa Chun, is my brother asleep? Little Yen asked quietly from the side. Having seen Lu Qing receive acupuncture several times, the little guy was no longer as scared as before. Still, she dared not watch while Master Chun was inserting the needles. Yes, he's asleep. Let's not disturb your brother's rest. Let's go outside. Yesterday, your grandpa bought some pastries from the town, and they are said to taste quite good. Really, what kind of pastries? They're called osmanthus cake. When Lu Qing woke from his deep sleep, He felt his whole body filled with vitality. And he was sure that it wasn't the same illusion as the first time he had the acupuncture. His body had indeed nearly fully recovered. All this he owed much to Elder Chen. Just as he was thinking this, Lu Qing heard Little Yan's laughter coming from the courtyard. He smiled lightly, put on his shirt, walked out into the yard. He saw Elder Chen and Little Yan still sitting on the stone bench, with the little one holding a piece of osmanthus cake in her hand, laughing joyfully about something, kicking her feet and looking up in high spirits. This scene was almost exactly the same as when Lu Qing first woke up from the acupuncture. Only then, he had been weak, having nothing, even survival had been difficult. But now, his body was nearly fully restored, and he had just earned more than 100 silver tael. Plus, he had the chance to study medicine with Elder Chen in the future. Everything had changed. Chapter 35: Stir-Fried Dishes and Plans. In the Lu family's kitchen, Lu Qing was tending to the fire, a brand-new iron pot perched atop the stove. He had originally planned to carry the pot back home discreetly once night fell. But then he pondered, everyone was from the same village, how low profile could he get? Even if he managed to sneak the pot home, the secret would come out as soon as he started cooking. After all, the aroma of stir-frying is far different from that of steaming or boiling, and he couldn't just block off the kitchen to prevent the smell from spreading. So, he decided to just carry the pot back openly and uprightly. This naturally caused a small commotion in the village. An iron pot, for them, was certainly a luxury item. Even now, some households in the village couldn't afford an iron pot. That Lu Qing shouldered such a large pot back home was bound to attract everyone's attention. Regarding this, Lu Qing simply claimed that the pot was a gift from old Dr. Chen, which once again made the villagers envious and jealous. They were also amazed at the elder doctor's generosity. An iron pot could be worth several silver taels, yet Elder Chen gave it away so readily, showing great kindness to Lu Qing. This also convinced everyone that Elder Chen truly regarded Lu Qing as his disciple, and a highly valued one at that. Otherwise, why would he give such a large iron pot to Lu Qing? It was always said that disciples should honor their teacher, not the other way around with the teacher giving such valuable gifts to their disciple. Unless, of course, the teacher held immense affection for the disciple. Especially when they later saw that the iron pot had already been seasoned, everyone became even more sure of their speculations. Thinking back on the villagers' onlooking, Lu Qing felt a bit fortunate. Fortunately, he had the foresight to leave the silver taels with Elder Chen, only carrying a couple of pieces of broken silver back home with him. Otherwise, that big bundle of silver would definitely not escape the villagers' eyes. If someone, out of curiosity, opened his bag when he was not paying attention, that would be troublesome. The fire had started, and soon the pot began to smoke. Lu Qing grabbed the oil jar and scooped out a large spoonful of lard into it. Watching the lard melt in the pot, his heart welled up with a sense of satisfaction. He had money now, no longer needing to scrimp and scrape on oil. In the past, each time he cooked, he had to figure out how to use the least amount of oil to make dishes that weren't too bad, which was quite difficult for him. With his heart filled with happiness, Lu Qing quickly prepared 2 dishes and 1 soup. Pan-fried green armored fish, a fish soup, and a serving of stir-fried greens. Even with limited seasonings, these 3 dishes still seemed simple. But when Lu Qing tasted the first bite of the greens, he was so moved that he almost wanted to cry. It was not easy. This taste was the one he had dreamed of for so long. Brother, the dishes cooked in the big iron pot are so delicious. On the other side, Little Yan also ate with great relish. Even she, who usually didn't like greens much, now found them extraordinarily tasty. Of course, this big iron pot is a great asset for cooking. Otherwise, why do you think your brother has always wanted one? The big iron pot is so nice. That meal, the siblings ate with exceptional sweetness. All the food was polished off, not a trace of soup left. After eating their fill, Little Yan rubbed her slightly swollen belly, her face brimming with contentment. Brother, shall we cook with the big iron pot from now on? Yes. Lu Qing nodded without hesitation. The reason he insisted on buying the pot was just this. However, There was no need to eat stir-fried dishes every meal, for even the tastiest food can grow tiresome over time. Trying other styles of cuisine occasionally wouldn't be a bad idea either. After dinner, Lu Qing looked at his books for a while. As the sky began to darken, he put his books away. He moved the old recliner out into the yard, reclining on it and gazing at the sunset on the distant horizon. Though he seemed lost in thought, he was actually considering something. He was pondering over what Brother Duan had mentioned before about the fair. The oil at home, after his squandering tonight, was truly next to nothing. A replenishment was indeed necessary. There were also a few items he rather not have old Dr. Chun buy for him, which he hoped to purchase himself. And there was the matter of returning things he had borrowed from the villagers. It was time to settle these debts. Thus, his attendance at the big market was imperative. "Let's go tomorrow then." Brother Duan said there are some rules to follow when going to the big market. It's a good opportunity to ask him tomorrow. Lu Qing made up his mind quickly. "Brother, will the little beast come to our house tonight?" At this moment, little Yen suddenly asked. "It should, I guess." Lu Qing wasn't sure. "Then little Yen will wait for it tonight." The little one was extremely curious about the little beast her brother mentioned, and was eager to know what it actually looked like. "All right, but if it's late and it doesn't come, you'll have to go to bed obediently," Lu Qing said. "Okay." With her mind made up, little Yen decided to stay alert tonight and was determined to wait for the little beast's arrival. Unfortunately, the willpower of a child isn't so strong. Accustomed to going to bed early, little Yan's eyelids grew heavy as the night wore on. Also, the presence of the green armored fish stone played its part. Ultimately, the little one held out for a while but not for long before she fell asleep. Not long after little Yen had fallen asleep, Lu Qing heard the familiar scratching at the door. He was taken aback. Could it be that this little thing really waited for little Yen to fall asleep before it showed up? Carrying the fish he had prepared in advance, Lu Qing opened the door of the house. And there it was, the shadow of the black little beast. This time, the little thing retreated to the middle of the courtyard, but its demeanor was much more relaxed. It no longer appeared as wary as before. Lu Qing even thought he saw a glint of expectation in the little creature's eyes when it saw him come out, or was that just his imagination? Could this fellow truly be turning into a spirit? Lu Qing muttered to himself, placed the fish on the ground, and then stepped back toward the doorway. As soon as he reached the entrance, the black little beast immediately moved forward, snatched up a fish and ran off. All right then, although a tad less cautious, it was only a tad. Watching the black little beast repeat last night's pattern, eating a fish and then running off, going back and forth, Lu Qing couldn't help but smile. He didn't bother with the creature anymore, closed the door, yawned, and headed back to his room. He had a lot to do tomorrow and certainly didn't have time to entertain this little beast. A night went by without incident. When Lu Qing got up the next morning, he saw the wooden basin was once again completely empty. Who knew how this little thing digested? It seemed so small, yet its appetite was startling. 2 or 3 pounds of fish were devoured casually, eating more than an adult. "Brother, did the little beast come last night?" Little Yen woke up and immediately ran out of her room to ask. "It did. See, the fish in the basin are all gone." Lu Qing pointed at the wooden basin. "Ah, brother, why didn't you wake little Yen up?" The little one was quite vexed. "I said, if you fell asleep, I wouldn't wake you." "Brother, little Yen has decided. I won't sleep tonight, and I will wait for the little beast," little Yen said seriously. "Okay, give it your best shot," said Lu Qing nonchalantly. By now, he was convinced that the green armor fish stone was indeed miraculous. With it around, even if little Yen wanted to stay up late, she wouldn't be able to. When the time came, she would unavoidably feel sleepy and obediently fall asleep. Quite a relief for him, it saved him a lot of trouble. "Little Yen, how about you go play at Grandpa Zhang's house today? Brother has to step out for a bit." "Where are you going, brother?" "You'll know when I get back." After entrusting Grandpa Zhang next door to watch over little Yen, Lu Qing pocketed a piece of silver and headed to Dian's house. Chapter 36. Rules for Going Out. Brother Den, are you home? In front of a mud house, Lu Qing shouted. Who's there? Who's calling me? A tall figure sprinted out from the house and, seeing Lu Qing, he was immediately overjoyed. Is that you, Qing? What brings you here today? Dian? Who is it? Before Lu Qing could answer, an elderly voice floated out, and an old man holding a bamboo pipe also emerged from the house. Grandpa, it's Qing who's come, Wang De called out directly. Grandpa Wang. Lu Qing greeted the old man. Well, if it isn't Qing, come in, have a seat inside. The old man, seeing Lu Qing, was also pleasantly surprised and eager to pull him inside for a drink of water. No need, Grandpa Wang. I am here to see Brother Dan for something. I won't disturb you further by coming in. Lu Qing hastily declined. Right, what did you need me for? Wang Dan asked. I was thinking of going to the market. Didn't you say last time, Brother Dan, that if I wanted to go to the market, I should come see you first? There are some customs I need to know about. You're going to the market? Wang Dan was surprised, but then he remembered. Oh right, today is the market day. The market was held every 5 days, and today was precisely the 5th day since the last one. Qing, what do you plan to do at the market? Sell fish? Wang Dan inquired. The fish aren't urgent. I just want to check the market out first to get the lay of it, and maybe pick up a few things while I'm there. I see. I don't have an issue with that. It's just that Grandpa was thinking of asking me to go cut some pigweed, Wang Dan said, scratching his head. After puffing on his pipe a couple of times, Grandpa Wang spoke. Well then, Dan, you might as well take Qing with you. He's now head of a household and should learn about going out and the customs involved. Sure, Grandpa. You can count on me to teach Qing, Wang Dan said cheerfully. He was quite happy to avoid cutting pigweed. That was a much too tedious task. Let's go, Qing. We'll talk as we walk. Wang Dan started leading Lu Qing out. When they got to the entrance of the village, Wang Dan pointed to a large tree. Qing, the first rule of heading to the market begins right here. Here? Lu Qing looked at the tree, somewhat puzzled. Of course, he knew of the tree. It wasn't very tall, but it was sturdy with thick branches and lush leaves. The trunk was so thick, several men would be needed to wrap their arms around it. It somewhat resembled the banyan trees of his previous life. Moreover, this tree seemed to hold particular importance. Not only was it common for people to offer incense to it, but village children were also warned from a young age to avoid playing near it, much less climbing it. Anyone caught breaking this rule would, at the very least, receive a sound thrashing, and at worst, be made to kneel in the ancestral hall on an empty stomach. As a result, village kids treated this tree with a mix of respect and distance, preferring to play with mud elsewhere rather than near it. However, Lu Qing's memory did not supply the real purpose of the tree. He had simply thought it was for worship and protection. Now it appeared, according to Brother Dan, that the tree had another use? That's right, this tree is our village's divine tree, as well as a letter tree. Every person who leaves the village for business, whether for the market or heading to the city, must leave a sign here indicating their destination. In that way, if someone doesn't return on time, the village can use the marker they left to know where they've gone. This tree has such a purpose? Lu Qing was surprised. He had never considered that the tree he had been fearful of in the original owner's memories had such a history. How does one leave a mark on it? Then, Lu Qing asked. Right here. Wang Dan stepped forward and lifted a stone slab at the base of the tree. When he returned, he was holding 2 pieces of red rope. Brother Dan handed one of the red ropes to Lu Qing and pointed to the tree, saying, Do you see those old branches on the divine tree? The one on the left, it represents the market. The middle one represents inside the city. The right one signifies setting out for places farther away. Whenever you want to leave for somewhere, just wrap a red rope around the corresponding branch, so the villagers will know someone has left. And when you return, just take down the red rope. Is that all there is to it? Lu Qing was taken aback. He had thought it would be more complicated, but it was surprisingly simple. That's right, what else could there be? Brother Dayan was somewhat puzzled by the question. Don't you need to hang up a sign or some other kind of marker? How will everyone know who has left? Lu Qing asked. Why hang up a sign? Brother Dayan was even more baffled. You can write names on it or something. As Lu Qing spoke, he suddenly realized something. He had forgotten most people in the village were illiterate. Sure enough, upon hearing this, Brother Dayan cracked a smile. You think everyone is like you, Qing, knowing so many characters, who would write their own name. Besides, it's not so troublesome. The village is only so big. If the red rope isn't taken down, just ask around in the village, and you'll know who hasn't returned. On reflection, Lu Qing thought this made sense. It was him who hadn't adjusted his thinking, expecting it to be as easy to leave for faraway places as it was in his previous life. In fact, in an ancient world like this one, the villagers were very cautious about leaving home. They wouldn't go out unnecessarily. Some villagers might never have left the village in their entire lives. Children were especially forbidden from running around outside. Under these circumstances, there actually weren't many people who would leave the village on a regular basis. There was no need for it to be complicated. However, this made Lu Qing understand why everyone always offered incense under this tree. Apart from worshipping the gods, the villagers were more often praying for the safety of those who had left. Come on, let me tie it on for you. Brother Dayan tied 2 red ropes on the branch that represented the market. Also, the village has another rule. The market isn't far from our village. If you want to go there, 1 person is enough. Just tie a red rope here. But if you're going to the city or somewhere even farther, then you must leave with at least 2 people so you can look out for each other. If there's no one from our village going to the city, you can call out to the neighboring village, see if anyone wants to go together. The rules for leaving in our neighboring villages are pretty much the same. Going to the city is not like going to the market. With more people, it is safer to take care of each other. Brother Dayan, is the road to the city very dangerous? Lu Qing couldn't help asking when he heard these rules. Brother Dayan paused for a moment before saying, I wouldn't say it's dangerous. In recent years, the road has been pretty peaceful, but my grandfather told me there were mountain bandits on the road in the past, and someone from the next village was captured. It took several years for him to escape and return. Everyone thought he had died out there. It wasn't until he escaped back that they realized he had been captured by the mountain bandits. But I heard that later, that group of mountain bandits was wiped out by the county lord and the city lord, so the roads have become peaceful again. It was from then on that our villages gradually established the current leaving rules. Mountain bandits. Lu Qing's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, this world was not as tranquil as he had thought. The term Lord County Master also caught his attention. However, Lu Qing did not ask further. There was plenty of time. He would inquire slowly in the future. After explaining the rules of leaving the village and tying on the red rope, Brother Dayan finally led Lu Qing in the direction of the market. Chapter 37. At the grand gathering, 2 cultivators. Is this the big market? Lu Qing looked at the bustling scene in front of him, somewhat surprised. This market was even busier than he remembered. The stalls on both sides were well organized, exactly like the markets he had seen in some small towns in his previous life. That's right, this is the big market? Brother Dayan nodded, pointing ahead. Do you see those stalls there? Those are for long-term rent. Only those who are in the business for the long haul rent those stalls. Lu Qing noticed that the stalls Brother Dayan was pointing to were mostly selling meat, cloth, or grain. Brother Dayan continued, further back is an empty space, where one doesn't need to rent a stall. But if you want to sell something there, you must pay a copper coin in stall fees. If you want to sell fish, Qing, you don't need to rent a stall. Just go directly to that empty space. Who should I give the money to? Lu Qing asked. Ma Gu? Brother Dayan pointed to a certain place. Do you see that man wearing blue cloth? He's Ma Gu, the person responsible for collecting temporary stall fees here. Following his gaze, Lu Qing saw a middle-aged man in blue cloth, slightly thin, smiling as he walked through the market. At the same time, he noticed a few other men in similar attire patrolling the market, maintaining order. It seemed Lu Qing and Brother Daan's gazes had attracted Ma Gu's attention. The man suddenly turned his head, his gaze somewhat piercing. Seeing that they were just two young peasants in old clothes, his expression softened, and he casually moved his gaze away, continuing to stroll. Lu Qing's heart tightened. Being able to sense their gaze from so far away, Ma Gu was no ordinary man. He dared not stare directly at him anymore, just keeping him in the corner of his eye. Soon, he saw a rich white light emanating from Ma Gu. Ma Gu, deeply thoughtful, fair in his actions, with a sharp eye, he commands respect from people at the market. Cultivation, physically strong, newly entered the postnatal muscle-bone realm. Receiving the information provided by the superpower, Lu Qing's face showed no change, but his heart was stirring. A cultivator, Ma Gu was a cultivator. No wonder his senses were so keen. He was indeed an extraordinary cultivator. This was the second cultivator Lu Qing had encountered since coming to this world. The first was naturally Elder Dr. Chen. However, even though both were cultivators, Lu Qing noticed a difference. Firstly, the superpower light emanating from Ma Gu was still white, while that of Elder Dr. Chen was red. Clearly, in terms of cultivation, Elder Dr. Chen must be more profound than Ma Gu. Was the difference in their realms? Lu Qing noticed that according to the superpower's evaluation, Ma Gu's cultivation was just entering the postnatal muscle-bone realm, and Elder Dr. Chen's was in the postnatal internal organ realm. Did this mean the internal organ realm was stronger than the muscle-bone realm? Were there other realms between these two? Lu Qing's thoughts shifted as he slowly calculated. How about it, Qing, you've seen the big market, didn't you say you wanted to buy something? What are you planning to buy? At this moment, Brother Dan interrupted Lu Qing's musings. Lu Qing set aside his thoughts and smiled. I need to buy quite a few items. I might need your help, Brother Dan. You need to buy a lot of items. Qing, did you strike it rich? Brother Dan's eyes widened. Lu Qing just smiled and did not answer. Brother Dan also realized it wasn't appropriate to discuss this matter there. He didn't ask further, but patted his chest. Don't worry. No matter how much you buy, I can carry it all back for you. Then thank you in advance, Brother Dan. Lu Qing walked towards the stalls ahead. He first headed to the meat stall. The stall was selling pork, and the quality of the meat, naturally, did not look as good as the meticulously bred pork from his previous life. But in Lu Qing's eyes, it still looked exceptionally enticing. It had been a long time since he had eaten large pieces of meat. He picked 2 large chunks of fatty meat and a few pieces of partially lean meat, ready to pay. However, the stall owner looked troubled when he saw the silver pieces Lu Qing took out. Young master is probably joking with me. How can I make change for these silver pieces? Can't make change. Lu Qing was stunned. Can't make change. I've just opened my stall today and haven't had much business yet. These silver pieces of yours must weigh nearly half a tael. I don't have enough copper coins to give you change, the stall owner honestly said. Brother Dan was also taken aback by the silver Lu Qing had taken out, and he quickly covered Lu Qing's hand that was holding the silver, pulling him aside. Qing, where did you get this silver? Grandpa Chen gave it. Lu Qing directly used Elder Doctor as a shield. Anyway, when they came down the mountain yesterday, Elder Doctor had instructed him that if anyone asked about the origin of the silver, to say that it was given by him. Elder Doctor is really good to you. Brother Dan immediately showed envy, wondering why he couldn't be the doctor's disciple. But he quickly realized something. No, even if the silver was given by Elder Doctor, you shouldn't have just taken it out like this. Who comes to the market to buy things with silver? But I don't have any copper coins, just this piece of silver. Lu Qing of course knew the value of silver, but who could blame him when his home was almost out of food, and he wanted to buy many items this time. Not to mention not having copper coins at home. Even if he did, it would have been inconvenient to carry them. It seems to make sense. Knowing the situation of Lu Qing's family, Brother Dan scratched his head. not knowing quite what to say. "Young master, do you still want the meat?" The butcher on the other side called out. It was a rare business opportunity with such a big order, and he didn't want to miss it. "I would like to, but didn't you say you couldn't make change for this silver?" Lu Qing replied helplessly. The butcher paused. Now both sides were having difficulty. "What's going on here?" At that moment, a gentle voice spoke up. Lu Qing turned around and saw the middle-aged man Brother De and referred to as Mr. Ma, standing behind them. "Mr. Ma." The butcher and Brother De and both quickly bowed to greet him. "I heard some noise over here. What happened?" Mr. Ma asked. "It's like this, Mr. Ma." The butcher spoke first. "This young master took out a piece of silver to buy meat. I couldn't make change and everyone was having trouble." "Oh!" Mr. Ma immediately looked towards Lu Qing. People coming to the grand market with silver were rare even for him. When he saw what Lu Qing was wearing, Mr. Ma's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. Lu Qing, indeed, did not look like someone who would have silver. "Young man, may I know where your silver comes from?" Mr. Ma asked. "Why do I have to explain the source of my money when I come to the grand market to shop?" Lu Qing asked indifferently. "That's not it, I was impolite." Mr. Ma slightly bowed as an apology, his face smiling. "I was just curious. You, as a young man, don't seem like someone who would possess silver." While Mr. Ma was smiling, the butcher and Brother De and nevertheless felt an inexplicable pressure, and sweat began to seep from their foreheads. Lu Qing also seemed to be pressured. A nervous expression appeared on his face. He hesitated for a moment, but finally said, "This silver was given by my master." "Oh, may I know who is the young master's teacher?" Mr. Ma's face remained smiling. "I don't know my master's name, but everyone calls him Elder Chun." "What, that elder doctor?" Mr. Ma's expression suddenly changed. Chapter 38, Mutual Probing, Major Purchasing. "Young master, you said your teacher is old Dr. Chan?" Old Master Ma's face, which had previously held a smile, became somewhat solemn. "It seems that the villagers all call him that," Lu Qing replied with slightly less tension on his face. "Yes, old Master Ma. My young brother here goes to study and read with old Dr. Chun every day." At this moment, Brother De found an opportunity to chime in. Old Master Ma scrutinized Lu Qing and Brother Den with a look. Then suddenly, his smile returned. "So you're old Dr. Chen's esteemed pupil. I have been disrespectful." Old Master Ma proceeded to bow to Lu Qing with great formality, which seemed to frighten Lu Qing as he took 2 steps back. Lu Qing waved his hands somewhat frantically. "I am not worthy of being called an esteemed pupil. I've only learned a bit about herbs from my teacher, and I still can't even treat illnesses." Seeing Lu Qing's sincerity, Old Master Ma couldn't help but smile gently. "No matter what, I was disrespectful to the young master just now. Let's do this. I'll pay for the meat you were buying at this stall." "How can that be?" Lu Qing shook his head repeatedly. "Unearned rewards should not be accepted. My teacher has taught me not to take things from others lightly. But I indeed was disrespectful to the young master just now. Could we consider this meat an apology to you, young master?" No matter what Old Master Ma said, Lu Qing just shook his head, firmly unwilling to accept Old Master Ma paying for him. Brother De and beside him was astounded. It was his first time seeing Old Master Ma being so polite to someone, and that person was his young brother Lu Qing. Seeing that Lu Qing was continuously refusing Old Master Ma's offer, Brother De was becoming somewhat anxious. It was over 10 pounds of meat. To refuse when someone is offering it free of charge, what was Ah Qing thinking? However, despite feeling anxious, Brother De didn't speak up for Lu Qing. He knew that Lu Qing could read and had the guidance of the elder doctor, surely knowing more than he did. Since he was unwilling to accept, he must have his reasons. Seeing that Lu Qing still did not want to accept his apology, Old Master Ma had a sudden inspiration and laughed again. "The young master is truly magnanimous, befitting of being old Dr. Chen's esteemed pupil. How about this? Since you seem to be troubled by this silver, Let me help you change it." Upon hearing this, the meat stall owner hurriedly said, "Indeed, young master, the only one here capable of changing your silver, I fear, is old Master Ma." Upon hearing this, Lu Qing hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "Then I'll have to trouble old Master Ma." Saying so, he took out the silver, and old Master Ma, upon seeing the fine snowflake pattern on it, believed in Lu Qing's words a bit more. A regular country boy wouldn't be able to get his hands on such good quality silver. After weighing it for a moment, he laughed and said, "This silver should weigh about 6 qian, which translates to around 600 copper coins." Old Master Ma removed a cloth bag from his person and fished out 2 small strings of copper coins before handing the cloth bag to Lu Qing. "The copper coins in this bag should be equivalent to your silver. Count them and see." Lu Qing took the money bag without hesitation and began counting right away. Brother Duan wanted to help, but knowing he was not good at counting, and that it would be more of a hindrance, he could only worry from the side. Lu Qing began counting the copper coins quickly. Old Master Ma's eyes narrowed as he watched Lu Qing count the money. It's rare for country folk to be literate, and being able to recognize numbers within 100 was already quite a feat. It was clear from Lu Qing's counting speed that numbers posed no difficulty for him. Old Master Ma grew more and more convinced that Lu Qing was indeed the disciple of that elder doctor. In no time at all, Lu Qing had finished counting the money. He looked up. "It seems there is extra." There were a total of 650 copper coins in the cloth bag. Given the exchange rate of 1 tael of silver for 1,000 copper coins, there were 50 extra coins. "It's not too much. Your silver is of very good quality, so it's right to give you an extra 50 coins. Old Master Ma laughed. Lu Qing thought for a moment, then did not refuse again. He knew that Mr. Ma was trying to befriend him, but he had already turned down the man's offers several times, and he couldn't really deny him any face. Moreover, for Lu Qing this was an opportunity to learn about the outside world. "The money has been exchanged, young master. You can rest assured in making your purchases. By the way, I still don't know the young master's name." Mr. Ma took the opportunity to ask. "I'm Lu Qing," Lu Qing replied, pointing to Wang Den at his side. "This is Brother Den, from the same village as me." "Mr. Ma, my name is Wang Den," Wang Den said somewhat ingratiatingly. "Wang Den, not bad." Mr. Ma could obviously tell that Wang Den was just an ordinary rural youth. Nevertheless, he nodded at Wang Den with great composure. But just this much was enough to excite Wang Den, his face flushing red. "Lu Qing, my young friend, I wish you a pleasant time here. I have some matters to attend to, so I shall take my leave now." Mr. Ma was a man who understood proportion and did not take the opportunity to follow Lu Qing around, but chose to keep his distance instead. Lu Qing, of course, was pleased with this outcome. While he did have the intention of making a connection with this Mr. Ma, now was not the time. After all, their strengths were not yet equal. Right now, the other party had only taken a higher interest in him because of his status as Elder Dr. Chen's disciple. Once Mr. Ma had left, Lu Qing returned to the meat stall. "Boss, can I buy the meat now?" "Of course." The meat stall owner was all smiles. "Young master, so you're a disciple of Elder Dr. Chen? No wonder you're so presentable." Lu Qing looked at his patch-covered clothes and was somewhat speechless. "Is this considered presentable? How about you, boss? Do you also know of Elder Dr. Chen?" Wang Den asked curiously. "Young man, who around here doesn't know Elder Dr. Chen? Last year, my wife had a post-childbirth cold that nearly took her life, and it was the elder doctor who cured her. He's a famous divine doctor around these parts. Given that, shouldn't you, boss, give us a discount on the meat?" Wang Den quickly asked. "A discount, of course a discount." In the end, the meat stall owner rounded down the price, charging Lu Qing 3 copper coins less. After buying the meat, Lu Qing and Wang Den continued to wander around the market. It wasn't long before they had bought a lot of things. Mostly they bought food and some daily necessities. Grain was the bulk of the purchase. Apart from these, Lu Qing also bought some vegetable seeds and thread. He wanted to plant more vegetables in the yard. He couldn't always go foraging for wild vegetables. As for the thread, it was because the fishhook made with a large iron needle at home was already struggling to hold up. He planned to make more fishhooks as backups. Lu Qing also saw fish for sale at the market, asked about the price, and found it to be somewhat cheaper than pork. But that made sense, as for the lower-class citizens of this world, fat was very important, hence even pork fat was more expensive than lean meat. Fish, which hardly contain any fat, didn't satisfy hunger as well. Only those wealthy nobles and gentry, who desired delicacy, were willing to pay a high price for fish. For the commoners, if given a choice, they would even prefer pork over fish. After purchasing these items, the 650 copper coins that Lu Qing had were mostly gone. He then bought 2 large bamboo baskets, and together with Wang Dian, carrying and lifting, they managed to take everything with them. Then the two set off with somewhat heavy steps, leaving the market behind and heading toward their village.
Chapter 39. Maguesse Tofts.
Lu Qing and his companion were making big purchases at the fair, which naturally attracted quite a bit of attention. Therefore, when the two left, several people gathered outside the fair, whispering secretly, "Boss, those 2 kids bought quite a lot of stuff. They look like easy targets, don't they? Should we go and relieve them of some silver?" A young man with shifty eyes was the first to suggest this. But as soon as he spoke up, he was met with disdain from the others, especially the man known as the boss, who looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Are you out of your mind? Didn't you see even Ma Gu was polite to that kid? And you want me to rob them?" The shifty-eyed young man felt a bit wronged after being scolded for no reason. "I just saw that they were loaded. Look at the stuff they're carrying. It's not less than a few hundred won in value. Just snatching a little from those big fat sheep could keep us happy for days." Hearing this, the boss fell silent. How could he not be tempted? Not to mention, the meat those young men carried was enough to make him drool. Lately, they had been struggling a bit and hadn't tasted meat for several days. But the thought of Ma Gu in the fair made him hesitate. He was not someone to mess with. Offending him would lead to trouble for all of them. Yet, the thought of the load on Lu Qing's back made the boss's heart stir again. Just as these men hesitated, inside the fair, Ma Gu was summoning one of his men. "Xiao Tian, I remember. Old Dr. Chun lives in Jili village, right?" "Yes. The elder doctor resides on a hillside near Jili village, and everyone from the neighboring villages knows it." The man known as Xiao Tian replied respectfully. "Take some time to visit Jili village and find out if that elder doctor has recently taken a disciple named Lu Qing." "Yes," Xiao Tian answered respectfully. Ma Gu wanted to check on the young man who had come to the fair to buy items with silver. With this thought, Xiao Tian suddenly recalled something and hurriedly reported, "Ma Gu, when I came in just now, I seem to have seen Chen San and his gang lurking outside. They seem to have some designs on the young man named Lu Qing." "Chen San? What are those lowlifes doing in my territory?" Ma Gu's eyes narrowed. "I heard they stole some things from Damu village a while ago, and the elders there have banned them from approaching the village, so now they hang around here. Those fools always up to no good, just skilled at petty thefts and bullying the locals," he said. "Go out there and warn them. If they dare harass any guest from our fair, I'll break their legs." "Yes, Ma Gu." Xiao Tian excitedly went out. He had disliked Chen San and his small-time thugs for a while, always up to no good and causing trouble. His cousin, who lived in Damu village, had even complained about them, claiming they had stolen several chickens from her home. Previously, he had no chance to deal with them, but now with Ma Gu's support, he could really teach them a lesson. After Xiao Tian left, loud noises and cries for mercy soon echoed from outside. Ma Gu ignored these trivial matters and settled into his chair, deep in thought. The appearance of Lu Qing today was quite a surprise. If this young man really was old Dr. Chen's disciple, it would be big news for him. The local folk only knew the elder doctor's extraordinary medical skills and his benevolent healing, considering him a divine doctor. What they didn't know was that, in the city, the elder doctor had a tremendous influence as well. Many influential people and wealthy merchants considered him an esteemed guest. Not only was his medical skill extraordinary, but he himself was a martial arts master. Even the county lord had once praised his deep cultivation, almost reaching the grandmaster realm at the postnatal peak. Such a character was someone he had wanted to connect with, but he had never found a good opportunity. But now, the appearance of Lu Qing gave him a glimpse of hope. If he could befriend Lu Qing and connect with old Dr. Chun, maybe he might even find his way back to the city. In this godforsaken marketplace, he had truly had enough. If it weren't for the trouble he had caused earlier, and the order his father had given him to stay here for 5 years, he would have left long ago. Ma Gu was quietly making his calculations alone. Lu Qing and Brother Den, however, had no idea what had happened at the market after they left. But Lu Qing was always vigilant. He knew their purchases at the market had attracted some attention. But there was nothing he could do. He had many things to take care of next, and couldn't afford to travel to the market every few days. So he had taken a risk. Fortunately, nothing unexpected had happened by the time they returned to the entrance of the village. The two men took down the red rope from the big tree and placed it back under the stone slab, continuing to carry their items toward Lu Qing's house. It was nearly noon by then, and most of the villagers were at home resting, with few people walking around the village. So, by the time Lu Qing got home, he hadn't run into anyone. Phew, finally back. Having put down the items, Brother Den breathed heavily. Thank you, Brother Den. Without your help, I couldn't have carried back so much stuff, said Lu Qing gratefully. The heavier items, the grains and meat, were all carried by Brother Den. Lu Qing had carried the lighter daily necessities. Thanks for what? This is what I should do, and actually I should thank you. Today was the first day I spoke with Ma Gu so closely, and he even remembered my name. Brother Den got excited again mentioning this. Is Ma Gu really that impressive? Lu Qing asked curiously. Of course, Brother Den said. You know, he manages the entire market and has a bunch of subordinates. Around here, he is the most impressive person. This made Lu Qing even more puzzled. He thought that, although the bustle of the market was beyond his expectations, at the end of the day it was just a not-so-large market. The items sold there weren't luxury goods. Mostly, they were agricultural and sideline products. Such a market surely wouldn't make too much money. And considering Ma Gu's impressive setup, he didn't seem like someone who would care about such a small amount of money. So why would he stay in the large market? Could there be some hidden secrets? Lu Qing couldn't figure it out. Brother Den, has Ma Gu always been managing the market? Not really. Before, it was managed by an old man whom everyone called Uncle Li. It has been about 2 years since Ma Gu took over. I see. Lu Qing pondered. All right, I have to go back now. Take a rest, Ah Qing. You must be tired from carrying all this stuff back. Seeing that Brother Den was leaving, Lu Qing quickly stopped him. Wait a moment, Brother Den. Then, from his basket, he took out a piece of pork that was half fatty and half lean. Take this piece of meat back and cook something tasty tonight. Let Grandpa Wang try some too. You really shouldn't. Brother Den immediately waved his hands. This meat is not cheap. You should keep it for yourself and little Yen. I have plenty here, as you can see, and you've shown me the way plus carried so much stuff back for me. Think of this meat as a thank you gift. It's too much. It's worth more than 10 won. Just take it. Lu Qing forcibly stuffed the meat in Brother Den's hands. If you don't, I'll feel embarrassed to ask for your help next time. Well, all right then. Seeing that Lu Qing insisted so, Brother Den had no choice but to accept the meat. All right, don't be embarrassed, hurry back. We've been out for so long. Grandpa Wang might be getting worried. You should go back and reassure him. After Brother Den had taken the meat and still seemed a bit reluctant, Lu Qing pushed him out. Once Brother Den had left, Lu Qing cut another small piece of meat. Then, holding the meat, he headed next door to Grandpa Zhang's house to pick up little Yen. Chapter 40. The aroma of rich meat. In the kitchen, a rich aroma of meat was filling the air. Little Yen, who was squatting in front of the stove to help tend to the fire, couldn't help but salivate uncontrollably when she smelled the meat. "Brother, when can we eat?" The little one couldn't hold back any longer. "Just a little longer," he replied. Lu Qing also felt somewhat unsteady on his feet. In his previous life as a carnivore, he had only eaten fish since coming to this world, not any proper meat. Now, smelling the rich meaty scent, he almost let his cravings get the better of him. Lu Qing was cooking braised pork. Of course, due to the lack of seasoning, he was cooking a simplified version of braised pork, or perhaps it was more fitting to call it stewed meat. He decided to make braised pork because at the big market he had seen someone selling bean paste. It was sold by a farm woman, initially placed in a jar, which he almost missed noticing. After tasting a bit, he found the flavor surprisingly similar to soy sauce, only lacking a bit in saltiness, which was a pleasant surprise. He immediately bought quite a lot, making the farm woman very grateful. Lu Qing took the opportunity to inquire about the origins of the sauce and learned that the recipe had been left by the farm woman's grandfather. Her grandfather had originally been a chef in the back kitchen of a restaurant in a distant city but had drifted here due to certain changes. After she got married, her in-laws were poor, so she thought of making some bean paste to supplement the household income. Since beans were cheap, even if the sauce was ruined, the loss wouldn't be too great. However, the local people didn't seem to have a high acceptance of bean paste. She had been selling at the big market for a long time, and Lu Qing was still her biggest customer. After hearing her story, Lu Qing, moved by sympathy, bought another jar of the sauce, leading to another round of heartfelt gratitude from the farm woman. With the unexpected gain of the bean paste, Lu Qing then thoroughly browsed through the big market. Unfortunately, there were no more surprises like the bean paste. He did see an old man selling sugar, which he bought some of. The sugar was much more expensive than the bean paste, but when it came to food, Lu Qing was always willing to spend. With these gains, Lu Qing decided to make a meal of braised pork. He cut the half-fat and half-lean pork belly into pieces, blanched them first, and then fried them until golden brown. Then he removed the meat and started to fry the sauce. After bringing out the scent of the sauce, he added the slightly fried meat pieces and stir-fried them together. Then he added sugar, salt, water, and simmered everything. This was certainly not the authentic version of braised pork, but given the limited conditions, this was the best Lu Qing could do. Fortunately, even though the method was simple, meat was still meat. After simmering for a while, the scent of the meat wafted out, still making the siblings salivate. When Lu Qing felt it was about time, he opened the pot lid, ready to start reducing the sauce. The moment the lid was opened, steam rose, and the intense meat aroma filled the entire kitchen at once. The smell of meat even drifted outside, enticing passing villagers to stop in their tracks. After sniffing for a while, they realized the scent of meat was coming from Lu Qing's house, and were immediately astonished. With such a strong scent of meat, how much meat is Lu Qing cooking at home? They thought about going in to have a look but felt it might be impolite. Eventually, as their stomachs grew hungrier, they quickly headed home. If they stayed any longer, they feared they might not be able to resist going in to beg for a meal. The scent of the meat drifted further, reaching several nearby households. Confirming the fragrance came from the Lu family's home, they couldn't help but exclaim, "The Lu family's days are getting better. What kind of meat are they cooking that smells so delicious?" After Lu Ming and his wife passed away, I thought Lu Qing and little Yen would have a very hard time being orphans. But now there's no need to worry. I heard that Lu Qing and Dian went to the big market this morning and bought a lot of things back. Lu Qing even returned the grain and condiments he had borrowed from everyone. Old Dr. Chen is really good to his disciples. It's a shame my boy isn't competitive. Otherwise, I'd also want the elder doctor to take him as a disciple. Drop it. Your boy can't even recognize a single character, let alone understand a medical book. Don't just talk about my family, your kid is just the same. Can't even count past 10. Let's not scold my kid by comparing him to yours. Lu Qing was unaware of the villagers' discussions. At the moment, he was concentrating on thickening the meat sauce and beginning to serve the meat. The perfectly stewed meat was trembling as it sat in the bowl, looking extremely tempting. Watching the color of this braised pork, Lu Qing could hardly resist. He quickly stir-fried some greens and then announced that it was time to eat. "Little Yen, this is for you. Eat slowly. Be careful, it's hot." At the dinner table, Lu Qing first picked up a piece of meat for Little Yen and placed it on her rice. "I got it, brother." Little Yen obediently responded and then started blowing on the meat in her bowl, trying to cool it down. After serving Little Yen, Lu Qing also picked up a piece of braised pork for himself. He slightly cooled it before taking a bite, and his eyes lit up immediately. The meat, having been stewed for a long time, was thoroughly infused with flavor. It was tender yet slightly chewy, an excellent texture. Swallowing a piece of braised pork, Lu Qing showed a satisfied expression. It was worth the time he had spent cooking it. Although due to a lack of seasonings, this braised pork was not as layered in flavor compared to what he had made in his previous life. Being able to enjoy such meat under current conditions was satisfying enough for him. "Brother, this meat is delicious." At that moment, Little Yen, her mouth greasy, cheerfully told Lu Qing. "Haha, of course your brother put a lot of effort into making this," Lu Qing said proudly. "Brother cooks so deliciously. Little Yen wants to learn cooking from you. Then I can make lots and lots of yummy food." The little foodie expressed her grand ambitions. "Then Little Yen needs to eat well, and when you grow a bit older, brother will teach you how to cook." "Okay." The siblings then enjoyed a lovely dinner. After dinner, after cleaning up, Lu Qing, holding a piece of fabric, went next door to Grandpa Zhang's house. Grandpa Zhang. "What is it, Ah Qing?" Grandpa Zhang came out of the house. "Is Aunt Zhang at home?" Aunt Zhang, who was Grandpa Zhang's daughter-in-law, was well known in the village for her sewing skills. "She's inside. You looking for her?" Grandpa Zhang shouted into the house. "Wife of my second son. Come out. Ah Qing is looking for you." "What do you need, Ah Qing?" A woman came out of the house. "It's like this. I bought a piece of fabric at the market this morning. I'd like to make 2 pieces of clothing for Little Yen, but I can't sew, so I thought of asking Aunt Zhang for help, and I will pay for the work." Lu Qing showed the fabric he held. "You child, what are you talking about paying? We're neighbors. Helping each other is natural. Give me the fabric, I'll think it over, and have Little Yen come over tomorrow. I'll take her measurements and have it done in a couple of days." Aunt Zhang took the fabric. "That's right, bringing over such a large piece of meat at noon was already too polite," Grandpa Zhang added. "I can't let Aunt Zhang work for nothing." Lu Qing laughed. "Well, that's settled then. I need to go back and read." Of course, studying is important. You better head back." Upon returning home, Lu Qing looked at Little Yen playing in the yard and smiled. The little one's clothes were made from his old ones and were now full of patches. These days, while washing clothes, he noticed some seams were coming apart. Today, at the market, he saw fabric for sale. Although the quality was average and the price high, Lu Qing still bought some, intending to have someone help make a couple of new garments. He didn't tell Little Yen about the new clothes yet, planning to surprise her tomorrow. That night, Little Yen, as usual, fell asleep without the black little beast's visit. The next morning, she woke up feeling gloomy, but her gloom soon vanished when she learned about the new clothes. 2 days later, when the new clothes were finished and the little one put them on, she was overjoyed and showed them off for several days. Because he had stocked up at the market, they had plenty of supplies. In the following days, Lu Qing stayed in the village and didn't go out. Every day, he went to old Dr. Chen's to study and then did some farm work like planting vegetables in the yard, and in the afternoon, he thought about how to make tasty meals under limited conditions. Sometimes, he would go fishing to feed the Black Knight spiritual fox. Life was exceedingly regular. Finally, one morning when he and Little Yen were at Half Mountain Small Courtyard again, the elder doctor told him that he no longer needed to read the 100 Herbs scripture.